Good evening and welcome to the Air Conservation Commission meeting. Today is August 11, 2016. We're here in beautiful Air Town Hall at 1 Main Street, Ayer, Massachusetts. At the beginning of our meeting, please join me in a pledge of allegiance to our nation's flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No. Thank you. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
Nope.
I would accept a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Why don't we quickly go through meeting minutes? Thank you. Anyone have any changes to the meeting minutes?
Not me.
Did we ever hear from John Ford? Here's that homeowner with the deck on 59 Shirley Street we haven't seen.
I called him today.
Okay. Did we hear back from Robert Hood?
No.
Okay.
No, wait.
Oh, we have?
Yeah, the Cal got in touch with me at 5, and he wants to know if we want to do an RDA or an NOI.
It depends on the extent of the excavation.
4 sonotubes.
Four 7.2s?
4 sonotubes.
Oh, four sonotubes.
So we can chew on that and come back to it later.
Does he have a plan of any sort?
He's getting there.
If he had a sketch, it might be easier to...
Yeah.
Okay.
He's gonna go out and try again.
Okay. So if there's no changes to the meeting minutes, I would accept a motion to approve the meeting minutes as gloriously written.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say gloriously. Gloriously.
Approved.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. I accepted it.
Wow. Brian, do we have any announcements, sir?
No.
AP? Accounts payable?
No. Wait. I just rushed that.
Already made the check mark.
Bonnie's taking a class. Maybe I should
Oh,
sign
yeah.
off on that.
Fern identification.
You paid $4,000? Oh, 40.
It's a lot of ferns.
So this is reimbursement to Ms. Tillotson?
It's not a very good page to do it on. You can do it on the front one. So, please tell us what it costs. You're taking it, you signed up, or you've already taken it?
No, I signed up. I'm taking it Saturday, next Saturday. It's $40. It's at Fruitlands. Fruitlands in Harvard.
That sounds fun. Fern, ID, and Ecology.
Yeah.
And I think we got a Fern book, didn't
We
we?
do have a fern book upstairs.
We
If
do?
you'd like to bring it with you.
Oh, that would be very useful.
Fall down behind the desk in the Fern Gully. I would accept a motion to pay Bonnie the $40 for attending her class for the Fern ID and Ecology for Conservationists and Gardeners.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Any others? Then we are underway. Why don't we open our 7:15 public hearing, notice of intent for 0 Washington Street. Do we have a ID?
No.
Yes. Hi, come on up front.
Just standing right here is fine?
Well, usually there are chairs.
Okay. Oh, awesome, thank you.
There's 2 gentlemen right there. One of them will jump first and make the other one look bad.
Good
Nice work.
evening. My name is Rochelle Angeli. I'm of Arrow Environmental. I am new to your town, so I'd like to give you a brief introduction about me, if that's okay. I know I have formerly served on a conservation commission, and I always was curious about new people that came before us. So I graduated from college just a hair over 20 years ago, and right out of college I was a conservation agent starting out in 1996 up until 2003 when I had my first child, and then I left and popped into the private sector. So I've been consulting on a part-time basis since then, so here I am. I am here this evening representing Thomas Bailey over there.
Thomas?
He is the applicant. He's hoping to purchase the lot in the event that the permit goes through, obviously. The owner, I don't believe, is here this evening. So basically, the proposal is for a construction of a single-family home, driveway, and necessary appurtenances, sewer and water, things of that nature. I had them include the deck and the foundation drain because, you know, I know that foundation drain is necessary and oftentimes people want a deck. So I had them include that as well. I have managed projects from a 100 lot 40B subdivision down to you know, people expanding backyards. So I really, when I was reviewing the plan, I really tried to think about project delays and, you know, weather that might come into play. So I know that they had hoped to use the soil as it comes in, but I said, you know, in the event that, you know, the weather turns or, you know, there's a delay in the project, I had them put up a soil stockpile area with trench silt fence around it, and also the dewatering basin as a just in case. As far as access is straightforward right off the street, and the limit of work is the erosion control. The only issue that I have is I don't have much experience with the wattles, and I do have experience with silt socks, and I'm not a huge fan of it, in particular on sites like this.
Sloped.
I would prefer on a site like this to see double stake hay bales and, you know, backed by the trench silt fence in the ground, not underneath. So that's my preference, but because your regulations say the wattle, that's what I have them put on the plan. So that's the only deviation that I would suggest just from experience. But aside from that, I do feel like the site is, you know, it's obviously limited. It's, you know, it's got the drainage channels that are jurisdictional because hydrologically they're connected to the wetland in the back. But the way that the water flows down the hill, I think that with the riprap slope, if we constructed that first, put the erosion control, did the riprap area, I think that that would serve as a good filtration system during construction and, you know, and in perpetuity. But I do feel that though the site is limited, however, I think that having included everything that I have and just, you know, thinking about projects in the past, I do think that it won't have any negative impact to the wetlands if it's constructed as is. Again, the only deviation is the erosion control, which I don't have experience with the wattles, but I've seen a lot of success with just your typical double safety bales, trench silt fence on sites like this.
One of the reasons that we've gone to the wattles in some of these instances is that it's so form-fitting and it's a lot more convenient for people to do.
Right. Is it similar to the silt sock?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many different brands out there today,
Right.
So we don't have any problem going to the hay bales. In fact, on a sloped site like this, it's probably better for yourself and the applicant because it's less likely to have a failure point.
Right. I originally had them put that on the plan, and then as I was reading through your guidelines, I said, just, you know,
Something
just
we
for
can,
consistency's sake, put it on the plan. But I would like to see it changed.
I think that's something we can deal with at a later time. One of the things that I noted on the drawing was that the first wetland flag is considerably off of the property line and outside of the limit of work. So I was a little confused about that.
Right. Are you referring to C1?
I am.
Yeah. I actually went out last Thursday and added some more flags. When I was out there initially, to be honest, I was really concerned about being close to the lot line. And I was really, it wasn't staked out, so I was really gingerly placing them. And then, you know, Brian had sent an email to me stating that you had, or somebody had mentioned they'd like to see. So I did add more flags. They have not been picked up yet. They will be picked up on Tuesday at the same time that the foundation will be staked out. So we can revise the plan and have it ready for whenever the next meeting is.
Okay. So the foundation isn't staked today?
Not today, no.
Okay.
No, his, the engineer's schedule has been pretty packed, but he has it on his schedule for Tuesday, next
Okay.
Tuesday.
That may actually work in our favor. So we do a site walk on every single NOI here in town.
Right, yes, I get
And
that.
unfortunately, this Saturday,
It's gonna be a downpour.
I don't think the fish will mind, but I have to be somewhere else on Saturday morning.
Right, yeah, we won't be ready anyway.
Okay.
That
So,
works out.
so next Saturday is the 20th.
Yep.
So far, nothing shows up. Okay. That would probably be the best day for us to do a walk.
That's fine.
So before we get to that point, Jess, did you have any questions about the application?
No.
George? No? Takashi?
Not at this time.
A couple questions. So there is a DPW pumping station
Mhm.
right in that area?
Yes,
Can
thanks
you?
for mentioning it. He, the engineer mentioned that he will pick that up when he's out on Tuesday as well. It's across the street. And he'll put it on the plan.
It's actually on, it's on this side.
Is it?
Mhm.
I thought he said it was across the street.
There are two of them. There's one across,
Oh, okay.
up the hill a little bit, and there's
Okay.
one
Gotcha.
somewhere right in here.
Yeah, we were
Okay.
trying to figure out, I think it's over here.
Yeah, I
Maybe
didn't
just off the lot line.
pay too particular attention when I was out there just because it was kind of hard to get in and out with my vehicle. But
Uh-huh.
he will pick it up and he will put it on the plan. So
Okay.
after he
It's right
picks up
in here.
my flag, stakes out the foundation, he'll
Really?
revise the plan
Think
to
so?
include that as well.
Okay.
You think it's that close to Mr. Morse's property? I thought it was a little farther away.
Well,
You could have a better feel for it than I do.
what
but-
do you think, Danny? Here's the island.
Yeah.
You've got the manhole structure on the right side of that property line, if that helps you to think about where you might be.
Well, that's the drain manhole.
Yeah.
The sewer.
I'm just saying, I don't know if that helps you locate, think in your mind where the sewer.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, you see it when you, it actually might even
Yeah,
be
it's
down
hard to
here
tell
more.
here.
It might be right, because I know you'd notice it. I notice it when I'm coming this way, but not so much.
Yeah.
So
We'll
Michelle-
find it. We'll put it on the
So
plan.
Mr. Wetzel is the superintendent of the DPW, so
Okay, nice to meet you.
he came just for this application tonight.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. He's here for something else, but
No, it's standard, I know.
And then another question is, in terms of placing the house, because I actually drove by that site
Yeah.
this afternoon and I walked to the edge and looked way down.
Yeah,
It's a huge drop.
it is.
And I'm curious, why not put the house where the proposed
Oh, it's the
stockpile
proposed
area
divided.
is?
I don't have an answer for that.
So, because it's a little more elevated?
Yeah, I will say though that, let's see if I may come over here for just a second. I will say though that I can tell you just approximately that there is another drainage area here. So from here it goes, I tied a flag down there and then there's like an earthen berm right here.
Uh-huh.
And then it kind of connects to another drainage system over here.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it would be any closer per se, but you have the 20-foot here and the 15-foot setback there.
Because it's a little more level here.
Right,
As
yeah.
opposed to
I'd have to
here.
ask the engineer why he put it there. I don't know if it was,
it's
if
our,
there's a reason behind that. As far as the sewer connection, I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
well, if 1 inch equals 20, this is only 40 feet off the street.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true. It has
So
to be a
in that
setback.
area up there, you'd be like 20
Uh-huh.
feet off the street.
Yeah,
You
that's
wouldn't even have
true.
room for the turnaround.
Yeah,
That's
that's
true.
true.
And in this particular case, certainly the turnaround is going to be crucial for
Yeah,
safety.
that's right, I forgot,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
There you have it.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so we'll add these flags to the plan and then the sewer pump station and then we'll stake out the foundation and I think that's it.
So one of the things that happens during all these meetings is that obviously we have some concerns that we'll voice now, but we'll solve those at the site walk. And I'm sure it'll make
And
more sense
I
when we
just
get
want to
there.
make a note, just because sometimes people have invisible illnesses or, they might have injuries and such. It's not an easy terrain. I want to mention that. It's not extremely difficult, but it's not easy. And there's a lot of bittersweet and greenbrier and things like that. And there are some rocks that you have to step on or step over, and the topography is a little funky. So just want to make mention of that. It's definitely not one of the easiest sites.
No, that's a good note, Brian. Check our insurance. So, if there's nothing further,
Well, there's one little detail. So last week, some of the neighbors came in to have a look,
Okay.
and one of the comments they had about it was that, to their mind and their memories, it was kind of a seepy land, and it just might be something worth looking into a little bit further to see if there's any kind of seepy spring type features on that slope.
Okay. Going in, you mean?
Yeah,
Unfortunately-
going down from the road.
Yeah.
This-
I dug pretty consistently
You know,
throughout
it's
that
just it's
whole.
hearsay, but
Yeah.
it's
couldn't
pass it
be a
along.
worse year to figure it out.
Yeah, that's
Well,
true.
yeah.
I mean, water definitely passes through, obviously goes, down the hill and all of that. And there's a ton of cinnamon fern there, which, could go either way. But that's pretty much the transition area. Pretty much the drainage areas are feeding that back
Right,
wetland.
and they may
so-
have been talking about those exact areas.
Maybe,
as well.
and maybe they didn't see it on the plan, because like I said, when I was out there, I was gingerly trying, I didn't know what the property line was, and I'm always respectful of people's property and, meandering on it, so I was a little careful in that area, but I've added some flags now that I know that I was okay to go over there, so maybe that might help them have a better understanding of.
We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look during the site walk, and unfortunately, that's just something to know. It's good to hear the information from the other folks to see what the evidence of that is.
Sure.
Of course, that's not so much jurisdictional as it is, warning for construction.
Right.
So if no one has anything further, then we could meet on August 20th. Did you find where the location was?
Yeah, it is. It's more down by this corner opposite the island.
Okay, the far corner.
Yeah. But one thing also, and I was just looking to see if I have it, and I don't know if I got the right one. Calvin Moore dropped off a plan of some drainage easements on here, and I don't know whether they were proposed or existing, but if I remember right, there was one on each side of the property.
Okay.
So if you have a business card, I'll email you. I know he scans
I
it.
do not, I have it in my truck.
Well, I don't know if this helps. One is located on the plan,
Right.
so that's handy. And it says existing 20-foot drainage easement. Do you know who they were for? Were they for Calvin?
No, it's a town
Oh, I see.
easement. So what happens is the drainage comes down Washington Street, goes into a retention pond on Groton Harvard Road across from the transfer station. And then the overflow from there goes to the retention pond on the side of the detention base.
Yeah, on the other
And
side.
then there's a pipe that comes out and comes down from there. So
Is that what hits this drain manhole over here
I
and then
believe
comes out
so.
below?
And I don't know if they abandoned the other one.
Isn't that queer too? Look, it only goes, the easement is only 100 feet long.
We looked in there to try to see were you down there? No, I was down there and didn't want to get into the poison ivy. So.
Sure,
Are you
sure.
talking about the other side as well, like where the soil stockpile area is proposed?
There was a pipe over in that area.
Yeah, I couldn't find it, but
Yeah,
there definitely was.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
if I have that drawing,
Here, Mark, if you want, you can just forward it to me and I'll just bounce it back.
Okay, that would be great.
I know
That'll be
I asked
perfect.
them to scan the
Yeah, I was looking for any information on those areas, but it didn't seem readily available, but,
I thought I
Well, I guess the good news is that at least one is recorded and caught on here.
right.
The other may never have been recorded, Mark, or may have been, maybe didn't need it because of the way that the drainage comes
I
out.
think what happened was that when they redid the drainage and put in those retention ponds, one of them was away.
Sure,
That was my guess. And Calvin said to me, he says, I don't know what's out there, this is the drawing I have.
It was nice one,
Does Calvin have property abutting this or
down below.
down below?
So,
This actually might be Calvin's.
Yeah, this is Calvin's property.
Oh.
Yes.
okay. Well, and
It's,
then,
what, sugar maple or maple
Yes,
sugar?
yes, he owns it currently.
One other two.
you know how that street up above is called Moore Road?
Yeah.
Okay. So, right now, we have no further questions or issues. Thank you for the easement information.
Thank you.
So why don't we go ahead and schedule a site walk for 9 a.m. on the 20th? Anybody have any issue with that?
Bonnie, when's your fern workshop?
Oh, I thought it was the following Saturday.
You won't be able to make it?
I think it is a 20.
Yeah. I won't be able to make it.
What time does your fern workshop start?
Do you have that?
Well, I'm looking, it doesn't say, this is just the receipt.
I think it's in the morning, I think it's like
Yeah, when I
9.
took that one, it was like a 9
Yeah.
till 2 kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's 9 to 2.
Do you want to do 8 so you don't miss it? Because I know you
Yeah.
have questions.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. Rochelle, can you make 8?
I will make 8.
Okay. So, 8 o'clock, and I better make it AM on my phone so I don't miss it. 8 o'clock on the 20th, and there's nothing further.
I have nothing further.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. I would accept a
See you
motion to
then.
continue this public hearing until our next hearing on August 25th.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Rochelle.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really, yeah, there's a lot of implications. I'm gonna take all the reports, the extra reports, we're just gonna give them to the library. And you can just put them in the back room, you know, just add to something, you know. I don't wanna throw them out.
Okay.
Robert with that, just in case there's something that might trip over later.
Okay,
I don't think there would be, but.
okay, all right, I'll add.
All right.
Oh, you look cute here.
Why don't we move on to our 7:30 meeting? We have a discussion regarding the ponds of Ayer, our testing, management, and planning for those waters involving Mr. Wetzel, Mr. Miller, Ms. Tillotson, and we are blessed, and I'm sorry, it's Bob, right, Robert?
Hi, Dan Van Scalaquist.
Dan Benson, but I wasn't even close. Good evening, Dan. And as I was about to say, we are very lucky to have our town administrator, Robert, is here tonight as well to talk with us. So, Robert, do you want to start off on ponds and waters, or were you going to come in for the exciting bylaw goals and objectives?
He's here for pounds.
I was going to say, and those guys stole your seat back. That was just terrible.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, thank you for having us this evening on this important topic, and I just want to thank all of you for your continued service to the town. It's great to see Mr. Miller and Mr. Raza as well, and thank you for their interest on that as well. So what I have to offer, Mr. Chairman, and I'll let the experts that are with us tonight talk about the substantive aspects of the issues of the ponds and waters, but it does seem a little bit like deja vu all over again with Flanagan's Pond, and I understand there are some concerns with Sandy Pond as well as the other ponds, not to diminish any of them. And as the town administrator and on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, do take this issue seriously. We know that we need to do some things in terms of maintenance on those ponds and further refine our plan and approach to that. And so I think tonight is really for the substantive discussion as to what's going on and what we need to do. But I can say to the commission that we are pledged to, as far as the financial resources necessary to do what needs to be done in the best interest of the ponds, we're prepared to do that. I think that the Board of Selectmen will be looking for at the appropriate time what the plan is moving forward in terms of treatment and anything else that needs to be done. So that's really what I have as just an opening remark, and I'm going to stay, Mr. Chairman, for later on the wetland bylaw and any questions or anything you or the commissioners may have on any of the issues. But
Thank you very much.
so,
Well, so
I
first,
was just push back a little bit. Not because of you, I just.
no, it happens a lot. So first off, thank you very much, and we really appreciate your ability to come by tonight. As you know, one of the main criteria that we've tried to be very considerate about is the fact that this is an expensive venture for the town in every case. And of course, on the opposite side, as we've discussed many times, not doing anything can be just as expensive.
Right.
And so that was one of the reasons that we pursued the testing protocol and the other information through the study, which we're happy to have available. and very happy between Mark and Bonnie that they've both been digging in on what that testing would be so we can develop better data as we go forward. But it is time to talk about how we're going to deal with treatment. And that's always a sticky situation. Everything that we discussed getting up to this point comes back to the fact that, of course, Flanagan's Pond really can use some help coming into the next year. And Sandy Pond seems to have some disturbing outbreaks.
It's got a lot of under the surface debris and it's expanding.
So in both cases, we'd like to get on top of those for next year. So
Agreed. Yep.
that's where we're headed.
Okay.
So we appreciate your opening statement and especially the one, I wrote it down, financial resources.
Yeah,
So
right. I mean, that's always, Mr. Chairman, as everybody in the room knows, the important thing is the substantive issues with the fund, but the elephant always in the room is the funding. And I know that when we get into funding, it requires either through the budget or through town meeting, and then those that are for and against issues raise themselves. But we need to do the correct thing. It is a maintenance in nature. Flanagan's Pond, just as a layperson driving by it, needs help. I've gone by Sandy Pond as a layperson. I understand what you're speaking of, and I'm also aware of the other ponds we have, such as Pine Meadow and so forth. And I think the report that the commission spearheaded is a useful tool moving in that direction. But definitely we want to be teed up, if you will, and ready to go at the optimal time for these treatments. I mean, you were all the experts on it, but we want to hit the optimal window. I know the previous time we had some delays and so forth that may have, or may not have affected the effectiveness of that treatment, but we want to be ready to go come the spring or whenever the optimal time for that is.
And spring is the optimal time. So.
Okay. Mr. Chair, can I pipe in on that? Part of the challenge that we have with this, Robert, is that traditionally we have gone through capital planning.
Right.
And in doing so, we find ourselves always running 12 to 18 months behind the cycle. So when the need arises, like for example, this year, it's clear that Flanagan Pond is in distress. So if we were going to go through the capital planning process, we would approve funds in the April-May timeframe, whenever the town meeting takes place. The funds wouldn't be available till July. It's too late. The plants are already in their growth cycle, and now we miss a whole other year. So what I'm suggesting with this illustration, which happens all the time, is that if we're going to be tending the ponds maintenance, on an as-needed basis, then that suggests that the money needs to be available well in advance, which I'm suggesting it would be wonderful if we as a community could entertain having this as part of the operating budget and establish a certain level based upon the study as to what would be a reasonable level on a normal basis for managing the ponds with the, I'll call it biannual treatment of Flanagan and the spot treatment of other ponds, etc. And in so doing, we are able to have, through the Conservation Commission, RFPs done over the course of the winter, administered in the springtime, and awarded before all of this breaks out. Right now, we're always in a catch-up mode, and by the time we're able to treat it, we're so far behind, and it actually costs us more money, and we get less results. So I don't know if the town would be open to that, but I think, in all seriousness, that is the financial mechanism that we would have to pursue to make this work.
I know, I promise you can put your hand down.
Oh,
for
it's
just
related.
Oh, I believe you. The only thing I wanted to say was that the issue that we run into is that often the best time to treat is the middle of June to about the middle of July, somewhere in there. And it's very weather dependent and it's depth dependent with the ponds. In the past, what they're looking to do is to get the herbicide on the exposed portion of the plant and prevent it from photosynthesizing going forward. And that means they love it when the pond level is down, and so that's what they want to do. And so, unfortunately, exactly to the point made, we have to get that in typically prior to the July funding mechanism being available to us. Did you have something?
Well, I spoke with Mr. Pomprian last week, and actually, he raised the phrasing before I did of what about a line item under conservation's budget, which would be the way to respond to all this, so that, you know, we would have a continual line item build up, but we could, you know, act on an as-needed basis.
And to Chuck's point,
Yeah.
we know that it's essentially biannual. It would be fantastic if after a period of biannual treatments that maybe we were able to skip one. Maybe we were able to go 3 years because we got it so well under control. It's not a guarantee, of course, but it would at least allow us to say that the average treatment is between $30,000 and $40,000, and therefore, as long as the town would have the option of either putting up 15 to 20 a year or biannually putting up 40. And so whatever's the best for the town, that would seem to make the most sense. That's about where we were. I think that's where we've come down on the numbers. The one place that I think we need to revisit before we go anywhere with it is we need to get in touch with the new consolidated company.
Solitude.
No, is it Solitude?
Solitude.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, the two competitors that we used to pin against each other are now a competitor. And so we need to reach out to those folks and see what pricing would be for this.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Chairman, I think we're all on the same page, and to what you mentioned, in my experience the last time we did this with all of you, there's no question that, say, middle of June is the optimal time, and it is weather dependent. And the last time we did it, and by the time you wait for town meeting to approve the funds, which is in May, by the June, and we had a lot of delays there.
Right.
In looking at it and moving forward, a couple things. One, the town's capital planning policy is that the capital planning process is designed largely for one-time capital or expenditures that exceed $10,000. However, there's no question that this issue of the ponds treatment is not a one-time. It would be amazing if we just had to treat it once and nobody ever had to worry about it again. But it is periodic in nature, and in various other departments where we have periodic projects that may be capital in nature, you could debate whether this is, they become the responsibility within the budget under line item under the commission. So as Jess pointed out, in thinking about this in preparation for this, my recommendation to the Board of Selectmen and to the development of the budget moving forward, that this issue should be a separate line item under the Conservation Commission budget, if you will, and we can work on the details of the amount and so forth, so that it's ready to go and ready to be treated without having to go through the whole capital process and so forth. Also, there have been recent changes and some more recent changes in terms of procurement and so forth. So unlike last time, and I will verify this, in terms of, I think that the procurement of these services, and where you mentioned now that I guess it's one consolidated company, I think the procurement pathway has been made smoother for us as well. So that's a green light in terms of that. And then in terms of putting it under the commission. And lastly, when I checked with the town accountant's office, and maybe others have verified this, but I believe there is $15,000 still remaining from the town meeting article that had to do with the ponds.
$3.78 more.
All right, so I think what we need to do is figure out the plan in terms of the amount of funding and so forth for the spring of 2017. And then moving forward, my recommendation would be to the board, and we'll bring this up to them at the appropriate time, is that this be put under the Conservation Commission within the budget. Now, of course, if we get into some much larger abnormal project or something, then it could be revisited. But I think that just makes the best sense.
Could you do a revolving fund?
It's an interesting point, too.
And then you
Yeah.
have the money, you use it
Yeah.
when you need it, and replenish it when you
Right.
see replenish.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so I don't have enough experience with a revolving fund. Is there any reason to not do one?
Do revolving funds typically have a revenue
They
generating component?
Generally do, but
Yeah.
I don't know whether you have to.
Right. we would have to check on that. But generally, you're right, generally they have a revenue source. That doesn't mean they can't be done. But I think in principle, what we want to accomplish is have the most streamlined mechanism to address this. And we haven't had that in the past. And
No.
as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, we all agree, if you're dealing with something that's time and weather sensitive as well, it should be ready to go. And we know we need to do it.
Well,
And it's reoccurring, it's not one time.
no, absolutely, and there's two factors, and so I guess one question, not knowing enough about revolving funds. So one of the great things about having a line item under the Conservation Commission budget is we would merely come to the Board of Selectmen and say that this year we have our budget and we've solicited these bids and we'd like you to sign off with us on this particular bid, and treatment starts in 2 weeks, and we can work together on that. I know how that system works. How about with a revolving fund? Does it work along the same lines?
Well, and again, I'm more familiar with, we have one for construction inspection, which basically we spend the money out of it
Sure.
and developers pay money, and it has to get reauthorized every year, but we're not putting any money into it. It's
Right.
by each developer. I set one up in my town, was on the town forest committee for town forest maintenance. That was basically to, we would hire someone to come in and do maintenance of the forest, and they would generate revenue from selling the timber.
And that replenish the fund.
There's another mechanism, Mr. Chair, that this may be semantics, but I know in Lincoln, we used an enterprise fund, not
Okay.
the same as revolving fund. But the enterprise fund was used by the water department, so the water department had water revenues from all the bills, and they used that money to maintain the wells and to improve the infrastructure, et cetera. So again, it may be, I don't know if it's the same semantically or financially.
What's nice with the revolving fund is the money's always there.
Right.
So every year, whether you use it or not, so say you put 25,000 in and you only use 5,000, then the next year you just need to replenish it with 5,000.
Right.
Instead of what happens is a line item budget. If you find, oh, we've got 25,000 and it's middle of June and we can't get out there until July 1, well, July 1's too late.
So it's the best of both worlds. You got the convenience of being part of your operating budget, but it's got the sticking power beyond fiscal years that capital they don't have.
Right. The only difference, as you noted, is that there's a back channel fund. So as someone uses the money out of those services, money comes back in. So you're hiring your construction inspection, and then as soon as they're done, they send a bill. But amazingly, someone else is paying it. So you've got the seed money to do the project, and then the money comes back in. Ours would be a little bit different in that there's no return revenue. Direct return revenue.
Right, but it's
Except town meeting.
it's reauthorized every year, so it's
Right.
so you've always got that lump of money. So if it could be funded out of the town meeting, then I'm trying to think what
There's
else
also-
we have for revolving.
We have
funds?
several, we have,
I know there's an ambulance.
there's an ambulance. So Mr. Chairman, what I'll do, I'll take on the homework assignment. I'll find out if we can do the revolving fund and that's the optimal vehicle. I hadn't thought about that till you mentioned it. It's a good idea. As a commission, we know that every annual town meeting, it's reauthorized by the town meeting. You've all been to town meeting and see those. So whatever way it ends up being called, the revolving fund would be under the conservation fund and under the Conservation Commission. And I will find out what the best mechanism is. But I think we all agree in principle that it needs to, the traditional way of doing it, and that's no disrespect to anybody, myself included, because I've been involved with it previous, isn't the optimal method. It's a standard operating that needs to be under the commission.
Well, there's another benefit that would be hopefully seen by everybody, which is that, for instance, we basically need to have the money for next spring right now
Right,
in order to do next spring.
right. And that brings...
Which
Yep.
which unfortunately also means that we're guessing that it needs to be treated next spring.
Right.
The only way to guess that it needs to be treated next spring is that it needs to be treated now. So
Right.
So the best thing for us to do is to be in a position where if that money is guaranteed, then we do have the ability to come to the end of the summer and say, we're going to treat next year. The money's already there. So we can go ahead and begin to process our RFP. We can reach out and get different vendors. And certainly there has to be some competition in the area that we can reach out to, especially if they knew that we were coming with some regularity.
Right.
It would help us a great deal.
So we all agree that for the sake of discussion, there's no question it needs to be done in the spring. So what we need to do to prepare for that, or what I need, is the next opportunity to get all of that funding in place for the spring. The fall town meeting is on October 24th, Monday, October 24th. So by the beginning of September, to the commission's best ability, we could have a dollar figure as to what the spring, may not.
$40,000.
Okay, and there's 15, I'm just saying there's 15 now.
That would give us a nice safety net. That puts us at 55. That covers us for both Flanagan's, which has run between 30 and 37, I think. And then Sandy Pond was around 5 the last time we did it. And that was spot treatment. Would probably be a little bit higher. That puts us up around 47. And that still leaves us with a little bit of money for Pine Meadow in case we're on the high side.
Another thing that's worth considering, Mr. Chair, is the fact that the weeds in question have gone beyond the milfoil and
Lily pads.
yeah. Right now, my side of the pond is filling up with purple loosestrife, just like the other side of the pond is. I'm seeing purple loosestrife on the shores of Sandy Pond.
I think, unfortunately, so I was actually having that discussion. I was up in New Hampshire last week, and it seems to be taking off mostly because of the drought conditions. Unfortunately, it seems to do really well in the drought, like poison ivy does. Awesome. So unfortunately, there's those two factors. The other factor is that the low water level is allowing sunlight to get to plants, so they got sunlight faster than they normally would have, and that allowed them to really spur their growth on.
Yeah,
So we're looking at a tough year. What's really critical about that is that, and this will be our part, beyond your homework, Robert, is that we need to reach out and find companies to come do this so that we can potentially speak to an RFP as early as possible and get in someone's schedule.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
if we're having this problem, everyone's having this problem. We need to be on somebody's schedule for next year because it didn't happen to us, but Dominic mentioned it at one of our meetings, how they just flat ran out of time, and there were towns they didn't treat a couple years back because they just didn't have time to do it, and by then the water tables came up, and so they had missed the spot. They had missed their spot, and so we definitely want to be in, even potentially taking some of our $15,000 and putting down a deposit so that we ensure that we get our treatment.
When was Flanagan's and then Sandy, when were they last treated?
3 years?
So I have
Sandy Pond was 2011, right?
This
no,
might be a good
it's
time
2000.
for Bonnie.
Yeah, I have a whole.
Presentation.
Here, I can give.
Do you have are you up on the screen?
I can be. I mean, but
And
I
while you
have
guys are throwing around to-do lists, there's the water chestnut and plow shop.
Water chestnut and plow shop pond?
Yeah. And
Grove Pond too.
so in the geosynthetic, is it just Grove Pond?
It's Grove Pond.
Yeah.
Grove Pond. So if we didn't, now, if we're gonna, throw around an idea to put some together, taking care of the water chestnut sooner rather than later is generally a better idea.
One of the questions.
That's more of a, just get people out there to pull it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we can because of the arsenic and the
One of
level
the
thing.
That's true.
That'll have to
questions.
bring it around.
Chief Mineral Life.
Question.
Right, so Jess?
Actually, I don't know how to dispose of it.
Hold on, hold on.
Pond yet.
Question that you had raised before, and I think we still need the answer to, is if we pull weeds from Grove Pond, what can we do with them?
Right, and I have been fishing around for that all summer, and I've been put off by
Catch
some
anything?
academics until October, and there's a Fed who could do some analysis of those things over the winter. So I don't have an answer at least until the beginning of next calendar year on whether the water chestnut can be pulled. So if you're looking to put together an herbicide treatment, that would be an easy thing to tie into.
You know who we should probably reach out to on that is Pace. So Pace has been hugely integrated with all the work that happened on the base.
Right.
And they may have stumbled across some information about over time if someone ever talked about what could happen for material that came out of the pond.
I was talking to them in April. The problem is that water chestnut does hyperaccumulate heavy metals, including arsenic, and nobody knows what the concentrations are and how much of that ends up in the rootstock after the plant dries out.
So, long story short, what did they do with the soil that they removed?
Don't know.
That might be if at least the worst case scenario is wherever they sent the soil, that's probably where we'd have to send the plants.
Well, that's the thing. There's that line at which you become hazardous material in the soil. You know, that was not a problem. They knew that. We don't know that with the water chestnut, and so I can't pursue handwork. But if you guys are pursuing chemical work, it might simplify things. And anyway,
Why don't I just put it down in my compost center?
Arsenic.
Well, because you're mixing it with so much organic matter that then the concentrations are way low.
Well, maybe if we can, maybe the right thing to do is to approach the folks who did the soil remediation over there and ask them if they did do any testing. I'm assuming they didn't, because, right, why spend money on testing your trash before you throw it away? But at the same time, they may have done some preliminary testing to do some work in there. If nothing else, get in touch with the same company that did the work.
hey, I don't mind going fishing. You know, at this point, I'm waiting until December at this point anyway. So
They're harder to pull out when they're frozen, I bet. But anyway.
the
So-
other detail of relevance that you might want to consider perhaps later when we talk about the bylaw is that, you know, we can set up local fees for permitting. And I know it's not going to add up to $20 or $30 or $40,000, you know, but it might cushion the blow. If you know, in the bylaw you said, you know, if you do a project on one of the ponds, then you have to kick in, you know, X amount or X percentage to, you know, perhaps the pond specific fund if we go that route, or the pond general fund if we go that route.
I think that's a great idea. I think we would also need to just research and see if other towns had similar programs, just to make sure that.
Well, it would be, you know, town specific and what would be tolerable and what would pass,
Well, that's-
obviously. So
I'd want to start with, it's an example of another town that's doing it. I wouldn't want to do something like that and not be able to say our friends over in, you know, in Lancaster are doing it and here's what they've seen.
fair enough.
I'd rather be able to talk to it that way.
Anyway, those are my contributions.
No, I appreciate that. Fine.
So to answer Jess's question, I think it's 2012 was the last time Sandy Pond got treated. So just to backtrack, and if you go to the next slide. So Brian sort of
Does it make
asked me
sense for us
to.
to give you the controls?
Yeah,
Probably.
They're actually,
I would
Movable.
then say I think the treatment of Sandy Pond then was spot treatment.
I think it was spot only, yeah. So Brian had asked me to go through all the historical pond treatment data.
Took full advantage of her unemployment.
Yeah. Actually, I've never worked harder in my life. No, I'm only kidding. No, it was actually a nice exercise because it gave me the opportunity to read, get the perspective of historical treatment, what was done, who we worked with, you know, some of the dialogue kind of between us and LICOT and ACT. And that was good. And I also basically just kind of managed to get everything sort of, I think, in a more fileable format.
And smaller.
And smaller.
Vertically.
Okay, so what I did, just to kind of make it sort of short and simple, so I went through and I went through every single year, and I actually went and got the town, so what we paid out for all of the testing. Now, the cost that you see on the y-axis does not include, you know, the cost of printing, the cost of advertising, the cost of NOIs, or, you know, any of that. It's just sort of what we paid.
Administrative labor. doing all
Administrative
that,
labor,
yeah.
right. So, and I didn't show 1995 to 1999, but I just recently this morning, got the figure of $62,893 just by going to the town,
Town report.
the town report books. So I got that number. And what I did was so if you go through the years, you can see 2000, we spent roughly 25,000. And I put, this is Flanagan, 1999, it's really not 2000 because it was treated in 1999, but it was paid out in 2000. 2001, you can see a little bit less than 15,000, 2002, up to 30,000, and that was again Flanagan Pond. 2003 was sort of the last treatment, sort of that bracket. 2004, 5, and 6, and I square that off in red because those are really bad years, and based on sort of reports from pond residents, other people, sort of what I found in all the reports. Some of the reports coming back from ACT actually mentioning that they had seen an outgrowth of a lot of the invasives in 2005. This money spent, I think, in 2006 was Pine Meadow, some spot treatment, and then again in 2007 that was Flanagan. So a lot of money spent on Flanagan. I think some of that was Sandy. Yeah.
There was some. Yeah, I was going to say there was. So
yeah. So
from 2003, the study was 2000 to 2005. No, what was the study that we did?
It was a 2005 ACT study.
Was it 2005 to 2010?
So the study was 2005.
Okay.
Correct. Yep. So that was a baseline survey management program study by ACT, and that was based on 2004 inspection of Sandy and Flanagan Pond in 2004.
That's probably that money you see there in
Yeah.
2005 was that study.
Right. So it's always sort of like a year, happens the previous year, and then it gets paid out the subsequent year. So you can kind of see sort of moving through, the squared on. I squared this up because this Flanagan a lot of money in 2007, 2008, and then no treatment 2009, 2010, 2011.
Well,
Yeah, Bill.
treatment was planned. Treatment was planned and treatment was shut down, and then in 2011 we had the money and we went to treat, and that was when the Beaver Dam.
Right. So Beaver Dam breach in I should have written Beaver Dam breach here in 2011.
It's the BDP.
Yeah.
And I could swear in 2011 that ACT still treated Sandy Pond that year.
It was proposed, but it wasn't.
No. So what? Are you sure?
I don't have any record of any treatment in 2011.
And she had all the records.
Yeah, no, but I just remember that year. So what happened was, of course, Sandy Pond is upstream of Flanagan's, and when Flanagan's got filled up because of the Pine Meadow Dam breach, Sandy Pond wasn't affected.
It was.
It raised.
Was it enough?
It went upstream and raised the water over 12 inches.
Yeah.
Reverse flow, yeah.
So I have treatment in 2012 for Sandy Pond and Pine Meadow.
I could have sworn we did get some Sandy Meadow Pond that day.
I think we did. I'll look at our minutes.
Look at the minutes.
I will tell you this much. Wasn't that when we paid them the money for the treatment chemicals?
Maybe.
So that they would keep the pricing? If I remember correctly,
Yes.
2011, we paid them the money for the treatment chemicals, and we said, hey, we really want you to come back next year, we want you to hold your price, how can we do that? And they said, if you buy the chemicals, we'll put them aside and we'll come treat next year. I said, okay,
That was like
great. That was LICA.
Right.
And I think that's why you see the money hit 2012.
Right.
But I do think that some stuff happened in 2011 that just didn't hit the books until the next year.
2011 was ACT because they got the bid for Pine Meadow and Sandy Pond.
Right.
And
so either way, there may be a little glitch in there, but the
so
overall story is
so there was overlap, I know, between LICOT and ACT on the same year, where I know LICOT primarily treated Flanagan, and then ACT primarily treated Sandy, spot treated Sandy, and spot treated, I think, Pine Meadow. And I thought that was included in all of this money.
It was in that general area. So LICOT had come in and they won the RFP for the Flanagans, and so that worked out very well.
Right.
I think the next year we didn't have Flanagan treatment planned, and so but we did have treatment needed, and ACT won the second time.
Yep. So I mean, I think overall, this is a historical look on the cost, of going out, and nothing obviously in 2015-16. Total cost over, the years is $200, close to $300,000 you go to the.
Is that from 95 to 66?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I've got it.
So,
Great.
right, so
Thank
the
you.
right, so it's a, it's a huge, substantial amount of money over 20 years. And a lot of the money was treatment of Flanagan between 2007 and 8, that was 65,000, and a little bit of that was sort of spot treatment of Sandy and Pine Meadow. And then again, the 2012-14 treatment cost was roughly 62,000. So we kind of broke it down, and if you break it down of cost per year, it would have been 14,500. If you break it down every other year, it's roughly 29,000 or 30,000. And again, that didn't include money spent on NOIs or any legal advertising or overhead. So just as for a personal, sort of for me, what did I learn from doing this? Well, I learned that the wait and treat approach, may have not been the correct approach, as Robert was mentioning. I think we've learned some pretty important lessons from the past 20 years. Also, 4-year gaps, especially of no treatment, really allow for the resurgence of those invasive species.
And we forgive the Board of Selectmen for that.
Yep.
The problem is there just wasn't any money.
Right.
It wasn't going to happen.
Right.
I just want to make sure we're totally clear.
No, and
the wait and treat approach was the go away approach.
Right, and I totally understand. I totally understand where we're coming from a town, but I think also moving forward in the future, you sort of have to look at where you came from, what you did, and you learn from those issues, right? And you move forward in a more positive, more sort of educational out of that, and moving toward more of the science, right? Now, going back, if we had decided to treat every year, or every other year with a cap of 30,000, we may have mitigated, right, that excessive growth, right?
Right.
It's just a learning for us. And then, I think a yearly management plan, will help allocate monies, more effectively, sort of moving into the future. So, that's my take on, all of this. And I think it sort of correlates with, I think, hopefully everybody else's take on it as well.
Really, really appreciate the information. So there's a couple things that come out of it. Number one, being beholden to a financial cycle has really hurt us. And number two, not being able to be in a position to help folks see how important it was didn't help us either. So I do get a touch bit defensive about your 4-year gaps because, believe me, we asked. We were just told that, there wasn't any money, please don't ask.
I
And
reiterated that.
and you know what? It was true.
Yeah.
It was true.
Yeah.
In 2002, again, I always tell the story. I was standing in Charlie Aspinwall's office. So I don't know if you know Charlie. He was the town administrator in Millis.
Yes.
And I was in their office that day, and he learned in the Boston Globe that his budget was slashed by the state. That was how he found out. He was a disappointed man. And so that was 2002, and that was when the real cuts began from the state down to the towns.
Right.
And since that time, it didn't get any easier.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
We were lucky to be in a good position to do treatment back in 2007, and at that time we had really ramped up, and
Yep.
the first study had been really championed by Patrick when he joined the commission, and he was excited about it, and we did the study, and we actually followed the treatment plan. And then we got to 2007, and we did the treatment that year, and that was Becky's first year, and it worked out great. And then you saw it in the news,
Yep.
the economy crashed, and then it became very difficult to get back to a spot to go back again.
Right.
If we had a revolving fund, then we would at least be, I don't want to say insured or protected. I guess what I'd rather say is we would be in a position to weather a 2-year storm if there was something that came up again.
Right.
And we'd be in a spot to say, you're right, things got hard, but luckily the town had accounted for this, and people understand the importance of it, and the money is there, and so we're going to be able to do our treatment and get past it. So it may mean that after that there's a cut or there's some problem, but at least we'll be in a position to weather a short-term gap.
Right.
So,
Right. And
which your study does an amazing job of pointing out
and I think it's
how important that is.
Yeah, this is just sort of taking a scientific sort of look at the data, right, and just coming up with a conclusion based on what you know, the whole stack sort of yielded. And I mean, and this doesn't even take into account, you know, sort of future, you know, possibilities with respect to, you know, storm drain sort of, you know, maintenance, storm drain sort of, you know, improvements around the pond. It doesn't take into account education, you know, pond, you know, people, right? I mean, there's a lot that can be done, right, to improve the waters.
And it's my job to say, it also doesn't take into account that whatever we spent 20 years ago isn't what we're going to spend this year.
Right.
And so that's
Right.
one of the other complications. And so
Right.
one of the things I wanted to ask you as Bonnie was going through, and thank you again, as Bonnie was going through, so let's say that we did implement $15,000 a year that went into the fund, and it put us in a position so that we were ahead of schedule. How do we deal with it if, for instance, chemical prices or competition issues put us in a spot where we have 40 and we need 45? Would there be another way to approach the Board of Selectmen or someone else to get that 5 without having to wait for town meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We should do
Yeah,
that.
and just to elaborate, we will put together, I think we're all on the same page here, an institutionalized, proactive approach to this whole problem. And excellent job, Bonnie, on this. I appreciate it. We know that we do our best in planning on budget. It happens all the time. But to your concern and question, Mr. Chairman, if there's the need, okay, particular FY20 or what have you, okay, it's 5,000 short or 10,000 short. There are mechanisms that can be addressed with through the Board of Selectmen, whether it's unrestricted funds through the UDAG, which right now are sort of on hold, whether it's through stabilization, or whether it's through some other mechanisms as well. And I think as we develop, or as the commission develops the dollar amount, if you will,
Right.
of course you want to build in, within reason, a contingency too. But yes, I mean, I think the key thing is that we remove the institutional barriers to this, formalize it under the commission, so there's a dedicated watchdog for it, and we make that commitment to move forward. Because I think, as Bonnie's data shows, and as we all know, we can see it out there right now, without this in place, I think it's costing more and more in the long term.
Right.
And it is what happens to communities that have ponds. It needs to be done. Maintenance, we're not alone on that.
Right. And I think, you know, one of the things that really stands out, and one of the discussion points we've had over time, is that it is a benefit to all members of the town.
Yeah.
Because if the ponds aren't usable, if the ponds are dangerous for swimming or for recreation, it isn't a benefit to anybody. And we have been incredibly lucky that we haven't suffered any fish kills. In the past, we had so many lily pads.
We had a few years ago.
We did, but it wasn't on a monumental scale. It was
Sandy Point was pretty
it was
bad.
monumental for you.
It was thousands
Yeah.
of little fish. But
Right, of little fish.
Yeah.
I think we got very lucky, though, that we haven't had something terrible happen over at Flanagan's Pond, and then that's a cleanup, and it's a disaster for everybody.
Well, and then it takes years for it to recover.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah. And it usually happens in deeper waters because you have anoxic conditions, right? Low oxygen levels at the
Either or
deep
really,
in the
or really shallow.
yeah, or really shallow, right? Warm.
Right, so unfortunately,
Or
we've
freeze- or
got
freeze
the
till it
deep pond
freezes.
at Sandy,
Yeah.
and we've got the shallow water at Flanagan,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
And,
Either or.
coming and going.
and maybe, maybe it was in the pond study, and I read it so long ago, I don't remember, but I see up at Winnipesaukee all the time, the divers pulling weeds instead of treating. They do some treating, but they're also pulling.
Yeah, putting down mats.
They did suggest that
Yeah,
diver
And I would
assisted.
think that Sandy Pond might be where it's not as bad and as thick and it's pretty deep. That might be the type of thing we might want to look into.
You're right, but if I remember correctly, the cost was higher than the treatment. If I remember correctly, there was
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, it is
expansively more expensive.
But I'm wondering if it's more expensive but lasts longer.
Yeah.
More effective.
Yeah.
Well,
effective.
and then they did mention a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Maybe the right thing to do, and of course, like with any of these things, would be to get a proposal get somebody to come in and tell us what their anticipated results were, and document how they'd done in other ponds. Someplace, the beauty of all these things is, if somebody does this treatment, we can go look. When we first started talking to ACT and Lycott, the benefit was we had Savos next door who had been treating his pond forever, and so he could speak to the ability of the companies. If we could get with somebody who does diving.
Did Savas to say something?
We did. He actually came here. He came here with it. So if we could get a company that did diving and could pass on some references, it'd give at least an option. But we would prefer, absolutely. It's just every presentation we saw, all the information we had showed us more money.
I remember it was pretty expensive, but I just wonder why and I never talked to the guys. I just see them offshore doing that. So, and they do treatment also. Just on a similar subject, we talked about cleaning up the outfalls and things like that. So just to let you know what the DPW is doing, and Dan's taken on a lot of this with sampling in the ponds. So we've been out doing sampling. I'll let Dan explain what we're doing on that to get baseline water quality and start tracking what the water quality changes are. So we have all the sampling equipment, and we have a boat.
Are you doing Long Pond in there as well?
Lower Long Pond, yeah.
The big one, yeah.
Yeah, that's included.
Well, Lower Long Pond is next to Callaway. You've been doing Upper Long Pond?
No, I think that's a confusing point.
Are they backwards?
No, I think one of the reports was calling one thing.
In the geosynthetic.
The geosynthetic report calls the big pond Lower Long Pond because it shows up as that, if maybe on Google or one sort of common map source has it labeled as such, which I think is a mislabel, but that's
north.
Okay.
but that's what ended up in the report that we're sort of using as our sort of most recent baseline.
Maybe
So
the big one and the little one.
The big long one and the little long one?
Big one.
I'm assuming you're doing the big, right? The one that has your dam in it. How's that?
Yeah.
The one that has your dam and our beaver deceiver.
And then we also, Geosyntec designed us 4 locations with
Yes.
with outfall treatments, and they're all a little different. So
Nice.
when Dan and I catch our breath, we'll put a bid package out. I also talked to the DEP. Epic has their own private well for doing their Pepsi products, and they requested a water management act permit renewal that requires some mitigation. So I've been working with DEP and their engineers to say, well, why don't you do some of these stormwater recharge systems for us?
Nice.
So they may actually pay for some of those, but I do have in my budget to do some outfall improvements.
Great. And you've been doing some already, right?
Well, we've just mostly been fixing areas where we've had washouts or issues. Whereas this is really like one of them, we're putting in a treatment unit right where by Bonnie's house on Oak Ridge. If we can make it work.
Gee, that's
right
nice.
by where our pump station is where
Oh,
we're
yeah,
proposing
yeah.
to do a treatment unit. Because there's not really any room to put in a biofiltration treatment system there.
Oh.
So we want to see how that works. And then we have some other areas, one over by Grove Pond at Crony Park and things like that. So that's what we're working on. What else are we doing?
I have a question regarding that. Will you be because that's sort of where the road kind of
Really dips down.
really dips down, right?
Yeah.
Will you be testing the outfall, the quality of the water in that area as well?
Yes, so that's what
kind
we're
of
hoping to do is see what kind of improvements we get from these different systems.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
They're long term, but
Yeah.
we have the list that's in the Geosyntec report, and we figure we pick away at it and do 4 or 5 a year.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we also, speaking of that, I have a design for a rain garden demonstration project at the DPW. And I think I have Boy Scout hooked on it for an Eagle project. So So hopefully we'll get going on that, but it doesn't rain anymore, so it's.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, that's you can call it a dust garden. It might be able to sell it better.
Well, there's some areas around Sandy and Flanagan that have a lot of erosion that need maybe to be filled in a little bit, you know, with some native plants. We can get rid of the loosestrife.
Yeah. And then the other thing that as we were talking about, and I know just talked about spotty areas on Sandy Pond, that it might be a
Big
good
spots,
idea to get a volunteer group of people that have kayaks that like to go out paddle and give them little tasks to do while they're out paddling.
Give them little what?
Tasks.
Oh.
So have them quantify or identify what type of aquatic weeds are out there and get us some information so we start tracking that.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, my sense is Sandy Pond needs a whole pond treatment.
Right,
now,
but
yeah.
it's good. I know, Geosyntec did that in the report. They looked at ponds and quantified the weeds.
Yeah.
And that might be something that we can keep doing, train a group of people. There's a lot of people that have kayaks that don't know what to do with them. Sitting on the deck.
While you're fishing, actually, you can fish in.
Oh,
And
you know what to do with it.
So that's just something that both the Pond and Dam Committee and the Conservation Commission could work on, get a citizens group.
Well, it sounds like one thing we should get is get you those tool racks for your town vehicle, so you can bring your kayak back and forth. It's just the first thought. But that is a great idea, and so I know we're very excited to hear about your testing results. How are you storing those? Are they available in any way?
Yeah, so I've been tracking them in Excel and kind of set up a similar table to what Geosyntec has in their report, so that you can start creating trend graphs and things like that.
Nice.
We've done 2 events this year. Geosyntec did one in August of last. And so this year we did it in May and in July, and we're planning to do another one around September timeframe, I think is when it's due. And so far it's kind of, in May it was springtime, things were not very eutrophic yet, it was a little mesotrophic, but now you can start to see we're getting more higher phosphorus results in the July event, and things are heading toward the more eutrophic status. So we're taking, basic water quality parameters with a YSI in the field, like pH, temperature, conductivity, DO. And then we're also collecting phosphorus, ammonium nitrogen, and chlorophyll A, which is... Yeah.
One question was in the Geosyntec report, they had a number of references to their single snapshot in time of Flanagan Pond had high phosphorus levels, and they didn't know if it was a lab result or
Yeah, high.
So one question for me would be, what are we seeing in terms of the continuing?
In May it was non-detect. We didn't get any phosphorus results in May, but in the July event we saw phosphorus results, but it was not, it was an order of magnitude less than that. I think it was like 600 something was the result.
Yeah.
In the Geosyntec, but it was like maybe 30 or 40 was the result in July. So it seems like it was something erroneous.
Where is your so under your testing paradigm? How many spots are you sampling?
It's the same as the Geosyntec report, which is Long Pond, which we just talked about.
Oh no! I'm sorry. I meant in the ponds. So in other words, how many samples per pond?
It's just one, and then also a tributary sample in the pond. So the deepest location of the pond we collected from, and then also tributary to the
That's
pond.
tricky on Flanagan's. It's pretty much all the same depth. I don't think there's any real deep spot.
We stayed with the consistent spot that Geosyntec sampled at, so that's what we've been going with.
Yeah, over in Ayer, it's the deepest. It's like can be 6 feet. It's like it's over my head. I actually swam one day
The mud's about 6 feet.
last year.
How long is it still? And just to give Bonnie some more credit, she also backtracked and indexed all the chemistry.
Yeah, and I'll send that to you. I'll send that Excel spreadsheet to you so you can have the historical. So it was all the historical data from the any report that yielded that data.
Oh, excellent.
And a lot of it's minimal at best, right? It's just like one surface measurement, one location, basically.
I think in the past, what they were doing is they came out and they kind of stood on the shore and they said, "Yup, weeds," and then
Yeah.
they returned to. There was
Right.
no question about whether they were going to treat or not.
Right.
You know, one of the things that came out of the geosyntech discussion was, okay, well, yup, weeds, but what are the predictors? What can we do to allow ourselves to see if we're making a difference or not? And that was the biggest thing about,
Mm-hmm.
you know, trying to find out how to sample, what to sample, and how can we trace it over time. And as you clean up storm drains and as people understand what they might or might not want to do on their properties, then, you know, hopefully we can get to a place where we can say, hey, dear Flanagan Pond residents, it's working. You know, please continue to use organic fertilizers. Please continue to not fertilize within 20 feet of the pond, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and just, you know, one thing is that we do have, even though we don't have a stormwater utility, we do have a stormwater budget. And we have a stormwater permit that we need to comply with, and that's part of the permit is doing alcohol improvements to improve water quality. So we do have a budget that we can use for certain things. I don't know if we can go out and pull weeds or treat the pond, but there are other needs that we can afford out of our stormwater.
no, absolutely. I think, you know, this is one of those cases where let the people do what they do best. So we're super excited for anything you can do to create any of those. One of the things that I liked about, one of the things I was skeptical about Geosyntech's report, but upon further review, it makes a lot of sense. Every place that they had a low spot, or every place that they had an outfall, they looked for a depression that you could at least settle out some of the solids before they got down to the pond. Every one of those seems like it would be a benefit. Any place we can do that, any place we can, you know, work with the neighbors and say, we're going to put a rain garden in your front yard in this area, and here's why. Every one of those is a benefit to the ponds. So if you guys were able to do that, I think, I can't imagine the guys wouldn't be happier to be going around building rain gardens. You know, it's a nice use of the funds. So, just a thought. All right, so to bring things back around on track. So we all concur that some mechanism that allows us to put money into a fund on an annual basis that effectively allows for treatment on a biannual basis is what we're shooting for. The parts and pieces have to be put together, whether it's a capital planning line item or revolving fund and enterprise fund, but that's the direction we want to head in. And the idea, which hopefully everyone can understand, is that it's because our calendar year funding mechanism doesn't work for pond treatment. That's simple. It's not hijinks. It's we need the money now, and it won't be available for a month, and that doesn't work.
Agreed. So in terms of next steps, I have already informally, but I will speak more with the Board of Selectmen and the Chair of the Finance Committee. And so we agree conceptually that the treatment of the ponds is a standing line item that needs to be under the control of the Conservation Commission. I will research, as Superintendent Wessel brought up and others, what the optimal vehicle to achieve that goal is within the budget. And what I respectfully need from the Commission through Brian, the fall town meeting, like I said, is October 24th. We are looking to have the free cash for the town certified by the end of August is the plan, but what I need from the Commission to plan for at least the treatment for the spring is we need, to the best of your ability, the dollar amount. And I know, Mr. Chairman, I have in my notes to the tune of approximately $55,000 total, but
Right.
I'll let you think about that. In other words, we just need to the best of your ability, a good figure so that the funding mechanism to put all of that in place will be the fall town meeting for that. Then we can iron out all of the other details as we put together the FY18 budget, which starts in December. But I think we're all on the same page, and I know that the Board of Selectmen is, and everybody has invested in the study that was done and so forth. And again, Bonnie, nice work on it all proves we're all on the same page. And
Right.
like you said, it's not pulled out of the sky. We're not looking to fast track anything. It's the nature of the beast, if you will. And if we just had to treat these ponds once every 50 years, that'd be great, but that's not the case.
I think the way I'd probably relate it is that if you think this is a problem, then why don't you wait for your plowing funding until next July? Right? It's, right? And it's the same thing. It's about the win.
Well, you know, well, one of the things similar to that, which we switched on our budget, is the line painting.
Oh,
We
right.
weren't doing the line painting until, the beginning of August. And I said, well, the lines are bad in April.
Right.
So we
Right.
actually skipped it one year.
And there you go. And now you're ahead.
Now we're on the right track.
But we just need to skip that year now and get
Yeah.
ahead. And that's the but with the budget.
You've already done our skipping.
But with the budget, we just need to skip ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. Okay, Jess, you had a point.
Yeah, one is, I appreciate your desire for a more fine-tuned figure.
Yeah.
And right now, I think the only viable vendor in the area that we know is ACT Lycott and El Solitude. The other place we've gotten bids from is Northeast Environmental in Northampton, and they've always been
Who are
really
now part
high
of
bid.
SWCA
Yeah,
conglomerate. So.
yeah. So,
Oh my.
in
Procurement,
procurement, yes. If we can't get, say, 3 vendors, does that,
You have to solicit.
we have to solicit?
You have to, to
Yeah.
the superintendent's point,
Yeah.
under the procurement, you have to show evidence that you have solicited in good faith up to 3. Now, there may be some instances, depending on the nature, there may be one, that there may only be 2, there may only be 1. But
Right.
in terms of the procurement process and for the procurement file, out of good faith, we had to look for at least 3.
Because I was wondering if there is anything in value of just calling up Solitude and having them just look at the state of the ponds now, where they're really bad, and just giving us a ballpark estimate of what they think it might be for next year.
If
That
you're
would
putting
give us
if you're putting a budget together, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I was going to say the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
I was going to recommend that our takeaway will be, if Brian would be so kind as to call the companies that we've dealt with. I guess I don't know if we want to interrupt Solitude. What a terrible business name if you want to be
Yeah,
having
I
people
know.
call you. So let's interrupt their Solitude and check in on them, and then it was interesting as you were saying that we have to, in good faith, solicit 3. In the past, I believe the way we got around that was by issuing the RFP, and then you deal with responses. And the problem is, of course, I could be soliciting 1, I could be soliciting 10, but I have there's no validation as to how many people we actually solicited. But in this particular case, as this is research,
Right.
Yeah.
Even if we got
and it's
a
to the
number.
best of your ability. I mean, the final procurement piece, we have time to deal with, if you will, but to the best of your ability to come up with the figure. And of course,
Right.
as you all know, going with my suggestion, go with the worst case scenario, and also put a contingency in there, 15% or so for the contingency, because we all know there are so many variables with this. It's weather dependent, and a lot can change between now and the spring. You want to have the contingency in there, and then, Mr. Chairman, your point, if even with that, there's need for some more money, we cross that bridge through the mechanisms I mentioned earlier.
Right. I mean, maybe the wonderful part is that we forget the 15 that's in there, and we consider that to be the contingency money, and build our model around solving whatever there is there now. I mean, there's 2 different ways to do it. One is we use it all, and we go from there, and the other way is we leave the 15 that's in there, aim for the number that we hear from these folks, and if we end up using some of it, we do. If we don't, but
Politically, the downside, Mr. Chairman, is that there will be those in the audience that say you're asking for 55, and you've already got 15 and you haven't used it. So that's
no, I'm not asking for 55.
No, but you.
I see what you mean. I'm asking for, right. I would have no problem saying to folks, well, just so you know, we've allocated a responsible contingency, and maybe we take 5 out of it, and the responsible contingency is 10. But the idea is we say, folks, the reason we're doing this. In fact, we're going to put Bonnie's graph up on the screen.
Well, I was just going to say, Mr. Chairman, also, as we all know, through the commission, FinCom, the Board of Selectmen, and so forth, this will all be teed up in a warrant article on October 24th.
Right.
The real work and it depends on how it goes, so deferring to the commission, and Bonnie's graph is a piece of it, as you know, is to sell it to town meeting, because
Sure.
as Mr. Miller mentions, and he's a veteran at these things as well as are you, there are gonna be folks that are gonna stand, and we know all of those perennial arguments, but I think we have the report, the work tonight, there's the evidence to justify all of it, and also to
Right.
show the costs of not doing it and what's happened in those gaps. But we need to be prepared, as I know the commission will be, we all will be, to make that presentation at town meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I think an advantage we have going into the fall town meeting that we haven't had in previous town meetings is that we're at a point now where we have the data. We have the data that Bonnie's put together, we have the data that the studies provided, and we also have consensus with pond and dam, conservation, selectmen. Hopefully by the time we get there, it'll be FinCom, capital planning, and others. So we're gonna go in there, and instead of everybody, taking, different, even if it's just nuances of the different opinions, we're all gonna go in with some solidarity. And then it's up to the voters as to whether they place any stock in it. But having that much consensus, every one of us as a committee or a commission or an agency, we all have our constituents who have skin in the game. And if we all have our, I'll call them fans, come out, there should be the momentum to carry the proposal. That's just, I'm just trying to think of, we're discussing the financial aspects of it, but obviously the political aspects when you actually get to the legislative group of the town meeting.
So,
Well, I would say this much. There are no political aspects if there's no financial issue. So the only reason there's a political aspect is that there's a financial aspect. And just one second. Were you the RDA who was coming in three meetings ago? For 59 Shirley Street?
Yeah, I have a time constraint. I'm very unfamiliar with how these proceedings work, so forgive me if I seem...
No. I wish we had caught you on an earlier meeting. We had time for you at like 7 o'clock 2 meetings ago.
Oh, I was told to come for 7:45.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
No.
I came when I did.
No, a couple meetings ago. I thought we were going to catch you
The
before.
last 2 meetings, actually.
Okay.
Oh.
So why don't we do this? Gentlemen, can we steal 10 minutes of our time for this gentleman? This is an RDA. We had him on the...
Guys, I don't mean that. Like I said,
No. We had an 8 o'clock. So first off, do we have anything further to say on this item? I believe we've covered it carefully.
We're all on the same page, and we have a plan, so
And 2 takeaways, our
Yep.
takeaway and yours.
Yep.
Perfect.
we will reconnect.
Okay. Well then, thank you so much everyone for participating in the 7:30 discussion. Okay. Why don't we go to our 8 o'clock RDA for 59 Shirley Street. So please come on up. We can steal someone's chair.
Thank you very much. This is a much minor issue.
Well, if you
compared-
gentlemen... No.
How do I follow all that,
Well, I promise we'll be easier on you than we were on those guys. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, I lost my audience.
You're welcome. So, I don't have the paperwork with me. Thank you so much. All right. And your name is?
My name is John Ford.
Good evening, John.
I moved to 59 Shirley Street in October of, I guess 2010. I've been here this long. Wow.
That sounds about right. I've seen you at the Hannaford's Market ever since then.
You have seen me there?
You're always at the Hannaford's Market when I was at the Hannaford's Market. I don't know how you did it.
Well, I actually live right along Shirley Street, so that's a convenient location.
Absolutely.
They closed for like 9 months. That was a pain. I had to go all the way to Groton or whatever.
Those Shaw's people. So we see on here that you have a proposed 10 by 16 deck off the back of the house, and it looks like you want to redo the stairs in the front?
Yeah, I have no way, civil way, if you want to, for lack of better words, to actually, there's no via to the house at all. Because the previous version was built by cinder blocks, and that fell apart on me like 2 years ago.
Oh my.
So I had to learn how to build stairs on my own. I have makeshift stairs there that are, I have nowhere to way. I completely have to replace all the carpeting in my living room now. It's like, it's a disaster, and it's just because Lake Mudavasaki forms in front of the steps every time. Luckily, we've had a drought this year, so, guys.
You were the only one saying that. I just want to be clear.
Yeah, and after all that, long and the short is I just want to create some kind of a civil sort of landing area so you can let your feet and make it be, you know, the contractor told me that he's got all the criteria for what is the protocols for, I don't know what the terminology is. I'm a software engineer, so I'm a little thick, it's because I don't understand it. But,
Do you have your USGS? No, I'm sure he's talking about what he's going to do for excavation. Excuse me. I just want to figure out where we are relative to a resource. So how close are you?
about 100, I'm estimating about 150 meters from a little brook. I looked up that brook's name and I just forgot it.
Non-aquacious?
Non-aquacious.
Yeah, it's tiny. Right now, it's not even moving. There's nothing in it but a rock bed. But in the spring of that year after I moved in, we had this March rainstorm from unbelievable, and that thing came up 12 feet and was flowing over that road. So it's definitely a seasonal river.
So
I think it comes from those ponds that are over across the lumberyard there.
It does, Plow Shaft Pond. And
And then I think it flows
So,
on
is
the
that
tracks
Shirley
there.
It goes to the Nashua River.
Okay.
Because I
The one that
traced
goes
it
around
on the
behind where the
map.
church is. So, and you'll forgive me, I just want to make sure we're in the right place. You're on the same road as the church?
Yes, there's a beautiful church there that I go down and watch the fireworks from on the steps.
Good thinking.
Because I'm telling you, you go all the way across and totally unobscured view, and it's 30 seconds walk. I'm like,
Brilliant. And it saves you from going in and out with all the, sure. Okay.
Wetlands over here?
So what we're saying is that you're not really near Plow Shaft Pond, you are near non-aquacious. Brian, did you have a chance to pass by the property?
No.
oh, you're Brian. I talked to him on the phone like 8 times. I'm, "Where's the meeting?"
Okay. So, based on what I see here, and if I understand where you are on Shirley Street, how close are you to the church?
Oh, I'm a ways. Probably a third of a mile. Well, quarter to a third of a mile. Like
Down toward the stream or away from
stream
it?
is about equidistant going further down towards
Okay.
the lumberyard.
So-
So I'm up closer to Union, the other side of Union Road there. I think it's called Union.
All right, hold on.
It's the last one before the one-way that comes back on Shirley Street.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I think I was in entirely the wrong spot in my head. Hold on. I would feel like I had not done my job if I didn't at least understand where you were located.
So if
I
you're,
didn't
if
know
you're,
if I should bring some material. I feel bad. I don't wanna-
No. The plan is certainly adequate for explaining what your project is, but I was just having a hard time making sure I understood where you were. So there's the turnaround by the bridge, and what you're saying is you are away from that, or you're near that?
I can see the train bridge, the main bridge for
Yeah.
going on Front Street.
Yep.
If I just walk out and look down the road.
Okay.
So I'm closer to the bridge side than I am the church. So the church is on the other side of that.
I gotcha.
oh, yeah.
Okay.
So if you're facing your house from the street, non-aquacious is off to the right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yep,
Okay.
okay.
And
Yeah.
your bridge.
I should have just said that.
There you go. And your bridge is closed. That's where the is Shirley Street where the bridge is closed? Or
Yes, we had a mad thunderstorm like 2.5 years ago, like in the summer, like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And we had like 3 inches of rain in 20 minutes. I never saw anything like that. I was working from home that day and I was almost scared. Because the wind and the rain, and I'm a meteorologist, so nothing frightens me from the weather, but I'm like, this is like nuts. And I looked down the road and the water was just literally, like the road had turned into a river and it was going over there. And it literally was an instant erosion issue and the bridge just washed itself out.
Wow.
Totally, the whole side over the caisson collapsed down into the riverbed. So we're like, we should probably call somebody. Trucks come down this road sometime.
Right.
So I don't, and then that's why Brian, I think, called us because this project, it's really just a kind of a minor home improvement in total, but I don't know what it would mean for the impact. I guess there's the rules if you're within 300 feet of a water source, is that it?
Well, you're in luck. Those are the parts we know. So in this particular case, it's within 200 feet of a stream.
Okay.
So the only thing I wish we knew a little bit better was how close you were to the stream. However, can you tell me how flat your backyard is?
Excessively flat.
Okay. So what I would like to do,
In other words, I can't detect any grade unless it rains and I'm standing in a mud puddle in front of my house. You know, there's no slope anywhere that's geologic. If that's
no, that's perfect. So what I would like to do is, I'd still like, are you here tomorrow?
No.
Okay. Why do I think Fridays were?
You do that every time. It's,
Yeah.
it's
What about
habit.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'd like to do, John, is we're going to go forward. We're going to go ahead and issue. And do anybody have any questions? We're all on the same page. We're going to go ahead and issue a negative determination of applicability, and what that means is that the law doesn't apply. So a negative determination means that the law doesn't apply in your instance. And the reason we're going to do that is that
if it helps, I could organize a way to formally measure that. I had this survey done.
well, hold on, don't get in your own way. So what's going to happen is
I'm just trying to be helpful.
no, I appreciate it.
We like
but
people.
I'm
We
saving
like-
you steps here. Work with me. What's going to happen is next Tuesday, Brian's just going to take a pass by the house. And if we have any concerns, then we'll work backwards to have your contractor install hay bales. Based on the fact that you're far away from the stream and the fact that you have a flat yard, the work is going to be so minimal. The only condition we're going to apply is that after he digs out for the post holes is that he needs to haul the material off. That's the only thing that matters.
Yeah, and I'll tell them that I don't have a way to dispose of them anyway. That was going to be part of it. So
Right.
everybody's serendipity.
We're on the same page here.
Right.
Right? Because you don't want a pile of stuff left over when he's
I
done.
don't have a pickup truck. I'm not hauling anything, so that's part
We're not
of
gonna make you have
charging me an arm and a leg for the work he's going to haul.
Well, he's charging you an arm and a leg just for fun, but as far as the work goes, we're gonna want that to happen as well. So,
Right.
as long as no one has anything else, and Brian, you can put this on your schedule for next week, please. Then I would accept a motion to issue a negative determination of applicability for the property located at 59 Shirley Street. Any further discussion? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, with the condition that all material to be hauled off-site. Sure. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. So John, this will be available Tuesday? Would you be coming by the office to collect it?
Whatever, like I said, I'm willing to help, however you guys want me to help. So
I-
if you want me to come by, I work from home on Fridays.
Okay.
So the following Friday, I could, because I told,
Didn't you
Can be left at the town clerk's office.
Somebody did.
I had another one of these meetings with a different, board.
Zoning, maybe?
Yeah, those guys, and then
Yeah.
that's where I did the elephant one.
The only reason I mention it is so our building inspector, Gabe Valenti, the first thing he's going to look for is proof that you have this paperwork.
Oh, gotcha.
So I want to make sure that you had it before you went to apply for your permit. Have you applied for your permit yet?
Oh yeah, that's why I'm here. So I did the whole permit thing early, and I ended up going down this whole path that I didn't know I would have to go down because I'm a new homeowner.
No. Understandable.
I ain't ignorant. I've been learning as I go, and so I just wanted everything to be legal because this gentleman around the corner built this beautiful carport with teak or something. Had a shingled roof, and he parked his Dodge Spider in there. The thing was awesome. I come back the next day and it's gone. Literally, all that was left was a gravel bed. And I'm like, what happened? He's like, oh, I never got a permit for it. So I'm like, I'm not going to build it.
That seems extreme.
No, I think the way he was complaining, I wasn't really listening because I was trying to go by about my way and my run, but I got the impression that they were going to fine him more than it cost for him to build it, so he got mad and took it down. I don't know what it was, but that's the way he seemed to imply it. I just didn't want to get into a situation where there was a wrangle and I had to take down my new front steps.
No.
Looking at my house in a simple way where I can wipe my feet and set my coffee on the rail as I'm keying the door.
All valid concerns. So
the moral of the story is, when I finish the paperwork, would you like me to drop it off at your house? I can do that. Do you want me to leave it here for you in town hall? Do you want me to put it in the mail? Do you have a preference?
You know what? You
he's
have
going back
my
on Tuesday.
cell. You called me. You could just say if you want to call me, and then or you can leave it on my mailbox
Well-
if you're gonna be there anyway. I
Right,
don't- you know,
on
waiting for
Tuesday,
it.
just drop it off if you're there on
Yeah,
Tuesday.
assuming nothing untoward happens and I don't stumble into some hornet's nest, then I'll just
So
stick it in the mailbox.
I do actually check my hard mail once in a while, so there's no hornets in there. That I know of right now, gee whiz, I should probably check it before you.
So you just have to clear a pile out. So is it so under our, just so you're clear, you don't have a dog or a
Oh,
tat
no.
cat?
No, I've been thinking about getting a dog, but I don't have one now.
So Brian will, during his, when he passes by, he's just gonna peek around in the backyard, just so you know.
I do the whole 9 yards. I mean, I took the fence out because it was chain link, and it was 20 years of bramble mass that had like integrated itself into the chain link fence, and it was like, it looked like there must be a meth house behind it.
Is that the gray house? Is your house gray?
Well, it's like a green tealy gray.
Yeah,
you know? It had that really horrible. So I took it all out, and I left the lilac bush in the corner and some rare thing. And what I want to do is, when my decks are done, I want to bring in like 3 quarts of dirt and level the ground and put one of those beautiful 2-tier rustic fences around.
So I'm super glad you brought that up.
Oh.
So,
Well, no, if I have to go through this again, I will, but
well, no,
this isn't
it's
part of that.
no,
It's like
I
playing on-
understandable. So, please, so that you don't find yourself in trouble. So remember that 3-inch rainstorm that you were talking about? Okay. So let's say that you put your soil pile in the front yard and you were going to spread it on Saturday. Penard's dropped it off, and you were going to spread it Saturday, and we had that storm, and it all ran down the street and ran into the stream.
Ooh, yeah. So do it all at
That would be
once.
bad. Well, the point is that before you do it, come to us so that we can work with you, and we'll talk about what you need to do, because you are close to the stream.
Well, no, absolutely. Like I said, if I have to go through any process, I want to be able to have the peace of mind that this was all in the up and up. And
Didn't we once have somebody have to take down their whole house because they?
No, that was the guy with the teak carport.
my
So,
heart's sick. I'm like over it.
so what will most likely happen is they make these straw wattles, and what you would do is you would wrap it around the front of your yard, and that way when you spread your soil, as it was waiting to take for the grass, that would keep it from running down the hill.
Yeah.
So pretty simple, but please feel free to come in and talk to us. You could probably even just talk to Brian before you went ahead and got started, and we'd be very happy that you were taking care of it ahead of time.
Is there a business card around? I can email somebody that,
It's all on the town's website.
Oh, okay, so I'll do that.
Just keep clicking. It says under boards,
Boards and committees.
and then devious boards, and then
Conservation mixed boards.
we're right under there.
Yeah, I don't like, this is great. So it sounds like good news. I guess.
It is good news.
So I will, I'll just check my mailbox then. I guarantee there's no dogs, there's no wife there to bite you either, and there's no hornets or whatever.
Far more dangerous than dogs. Okay, John, thank you very much. Enjoy your evening.
I shake your hands, but you're like miles away.
Way far away. Have a great night.
All right.
All right. Robert, thank you for your kindness and generosity in waiting.
No problem.
Updating the air wetland bylaw goals and objectives.
I decided to break it down instead of taking on the whole thing.
Okay. So, first and foremost, we are running a little bit behind, but I think we're doing okay. Why don't we start with what our goals and objectives were? The basic idea that we had, I don't have, I bet you I left it. I did. Our intention under the bylaw, under the new bylaw, is to help folks to understand what we're attempting to do, while at the same time, of course, establish a way so that we can actually enforce the goals of the bylaw, which are to improve upon what the state has as a minimum. The primary goal, I think, that we're shooting for is to establish some of the same attributes that other towns local to us have, such as no build zones, so that when people come in to see us, they already understand, based on our bylaw, what we were looking for.
We need to write regulations.
And write some regulations. Because the best way for us to deal with this is through a regulation process. the regulations allow us over time to absorb feedback and either maximize or minimize what we're getting out of our bylaw. That's probably the most important thing. To me, the most important thing is so that every applicant who comes in knows what we're asking for. That to me is the most important thing. The worst case is when someone comes in and we just met Mr. Ford, and Mr. Ford had no idea about an RDA. So we would like it if information was better spelled out. Even if what that really meant was that someone like Mr. Ford found himself going to someone to explain it to him because he wasn't certain what it meant. That's all in the same goals.
Somebody full-time eventually too, but we don't.
Is that discussion too?
Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, we are absolutely on the same page on this one as well, and I think the commission's timing is perfect because just so everybody's aware, the town is about to embark on a process of doing a thorough review of all of the town's bylaws, and the purpose of that review is to make sure that all of the bylaws are up to date, consistent. In some instances, there's contradictions and so forth. As you can imagine, some of the bylaws go back quite some time. Right, and there's a task force sort of in place, or a working group, the town clerk, my assistant, Selectman Livingston, and others looking at all of the bylaws, including this one, as far as form and so forth. I think we can all agree to, just in their appearance, if you go on the website, there's no consistency just in the look of them. Those are the smaller details. But in looking, and I by no means claim to be an expert on the air wetland bylaw, but I think you hit upon some of the key issues. Number one is it needs to be clear for everybody. As you mentioned, Mr. Chair, to help folks understand what the whole thing is. Secondly, and I've talked a little bit with Brian about this over the last couple months and so forth, but is looking at the enforcement mechanism. What is the optimal enforcement mechanism? Clearly spelling that out. What is realistic in terms of enforcement? Because as we all know, unfortunately, without the proper enforcement and progressive enforcement, it has no teeth. And I think we're sort of in that position, not just the air wetland bylaw, but some of our other enforcement bylaws. We just, many of you know, did the nuisance bylaw over last fall, but the enforcement piece, I think you mentioned using the state as a minimum requirement, a minimum benchmark makes sense, and then we need to tailor it to air specific, as you mentioned, looking at some of the local attributes. And then I think the regulation framework has driven it for best policy and so forth. To assist the commission with that, of course, as part of this review process, there is funding that was put in place. Again, it all comes back to funding in terms of the review. There is also access to town council. I mean, ultimately, I think what we want to do is have the commission put together, if you will, the bylaw, the template, what have you, have it reviewed by town council. And generally, with all bylaws, my office can work with you to facilitate that. You generally have a public hearing as good form, and then ultimately it will go to town meeting. I don't think you're looking to reinvent the wheel. I think we're just looking to improve the wheel and also polish it some, and that's no reflection of the commission. So many bylaws are just so, they're like dry toast, if you will. And there's ways to make them more robust in that sense. So in terms of next steps, how would the commission like to proceed as far as addressing these aspects so we can
I've got one question that I'd love to start with, if we may.
Sure.
The former bylaw, which we intend to overwrite, should the process be to bring that up in the fall and toss it? Because realistically, it doesn't contribute anything to anything we do. And would that raise awareness and help people be aware of it for the spring? Or is that, the reason we have enforcement powers is that we have a bylaw? So do we give up our enforcement powers until a new bylaw comes through?
So my understanding is that we don't have enforcement powers under our bylaw. We have enforcement powers under a different bylaw. Right.
Something 3.
Well,
Our bylaw-
L3
our bylaw
gives
doesn't
us
contribute.
enforcement powers. It outlines our powers to enforce our own bylaw.
right, which we don't have, that has any enforcement powers. So in other words, the bylaw that we have,
Right.
if I understood what we were talking about before, the bylaw that we have really doesn't grant us any enforcement powers. And
True.
because there are no changes under our bylaw from the state bylaw, so for instance, if Robert as an applicant came to us and wanted to do a subdivision and we denied his application, we could not deny his application based on our bylaw,
True.
because our bylaw doesn't have anything to say, there's nothing in our
There's
bylaw that's
nothing
different
legally
from the state.
defensible in our
Right.
bylaw.
We don't have it's not a leg to stand on.
Right.
So, that's the one side of the argument. The other side of the argument is, heck, we have a bylaw, and do we get rid of it? Does it make any sense to lose it until we have another one? So I guess one question would be, if, for instance, you go to town meeting, and during town meeting, they decide, we get consensus and we move forward with a new bylaw, does it make sense to get the new bylaw and then ditch the old bylaw, or does it make sense to ditch the old bylaw first and then achieve or approach achieving a new bylaw? Is there any benefit in either direction?
It's a very good question, and Brian had brought it to my attention a little while ago, gave me some time to think about it, preparing to come here tonight, and then looking what we did with the nuisance bylaw, and I talked to town council and some other folks. I think what makes the best sense is that we go to town meeting, whatever town meeting that may be, with the Ayer wetland bylaw. And we present that, the commission presents that, and so forth. And upon adoption by town meeting, that becomes the bylaw replacing the other one.
Okay.
And do it, because, and I understand the point, and I was been toying with this in my head too. Does it make sense that we go to town meeting and then say, okay, look, the current bylaw we have is deficient, old, etc., no harm, no foul, we're respectfully asking you to repeal this, and we will be back in the future with something new. It could create some awareness, but it also will create this whole debate, well, why you're getting rid of it, but you don't have, I think it's good to have everything, so yes, we're getting rid of it, and here's what we're proposing.
Right.
So I think that's how we should approach it. That's what, with the nuisance bylaw, that's what happened. In other words, the old nuisance bylaw was deficient in so many ways, including a lot of the things we're talking about. We went to town meeting with the new one, and by virtue of how the article was written and so forth, upon approval, that became the nuisance bylaw, the old one gone. I think that's seamless. We know there's problems with yours, fine, but let's get it all done at one meeting.
Okay, so that's perfect. So
Yeah.
does it actually replace it, or does it become so what I mean is, so for instance, and I just don't know the answer to the question.
Mhm.
So if a town has a nuisance bylaw, is that almost like under a separate protocol, like that's the nuisance bylaw, and therefore, every town has a nuisance bylaw, every town has a wetland,
Yeah.
protection act, has their own wetland bylaw. Does it just replace it is there a numerical system, or is it simply one goes away and one comes in
Yes,
favor?
so the way it would be written in this, the devil's always in the details, as they say, but the way I think we should propose it is, so the new bylaw is put forth to town meeting, the way the article's written, upon passage of town meeting, that becomes the bylaw, full faith in enforcement, and your previous one is rescinded by that, is no longer in effect, and the new bylaw gets a new number. That's Ms. Copeland's challenge, and the old one we would keep, if you will. It'd almost be like lining it out. If you were to look
Sure,
at the
sure,
historic
sure,
record,
sure.
you'd see the old one, but yeah.
Which was just really a town meeting article.
Right.
So that's why I'm trying to figure out. So for instance, is there a nomenclature or a protocol for bylaws? Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a wetland bylaw. Oh, well, that's down here in the 70s.
Yeah.
That's a nuisance bylaw. It's up here in the 50s. I just didn't know how
interesting. And I just learned this through this effort. They just get the numbering, the nomenclature is just chronological. So all of the bylaws are just on a temporal timeline, which we're also working on. So it could be the bylaw, say, I'm just making this up, bylaw 47 could be on Hackney licenses in
Right.
municipal streets. Number 48 would be the wetland bylaw. Number 49 could be something.
Just when they came.
Right, there's no organizational structure. I mean, we're looking at that, but when we approach with the nuisance bylaw too, in talking to council, sometimes you would amend the bylaw, but if we were just looking to amend a sentence or a concept or a small piece,
Sure.
then it would make sense to amend it. Frankly, as I think we all agree, this whole bylaw just needs to be redone. So to do an amendment, it would be a disaster.
Right.
In thinking about it, I think what we should do is prepare what you want, the commission wants as the new bylaw, go to town meeting with the new bylaw, the article upon passage, the new bylaw is your bylaw, the old one becomes part of history, it will have that unique number, and we move forward in that direction.
Is this something that can be done at Springtown meeting?
Yes, so also just to clarify that point, because
Mm-hmm.
you hear, I call it the myths of town meeting, and it's not just an air. You'll hear people always say that all financial articles must be at the annual town meeting and all non-financial must be at the fall town meeting. You even hear that around here some.
No, I've heard that before,
Yeah,
and
just
I know
so-
it's not true.
Right, so everybody knows, the warrant is determined by the Board of Selectmen. We have and we will, as our earlier conversation, address financial matters at the fall and vice versa. So in this one, and Mr. Chairman, you and your commissioners and Brian will set the timeline, but as a layperson, I believe that the commission could plan to have this in place for consideration at the annual town meeting. I think the fall one, it's October 24th, it's coming up quick. I hate to rush summer, that's just my opinion.
No,
Too
and
short,
we've also, that was the next question, right,
Yeah.
is how long should we allocate for council to review?
So in terms of, so what you will want to do procedurally, and again, I offer, if I see Brian weekly, we'll work with you as well. So in terms of next steps, I think you want to find out what you want and what you don't want, even just conceptually and so forth, check with other communities and so forth, and just put together what I call a layman's mock-up.
Sure.
And then if the commission sort of agrees on that as sort of a mock-up, if you will, then we would take it to town council, have them finesse it and so forth,
Okay.
have it come back to you. Then you'll have sort of that final draft, if you will. And in terms of with a bylaw change, you'd want to call a public hearing, just so you know. You don't even have to advertise it, even in the newspaper. It'd be part of one of your meetings. I mean, you can advertise it if you want, but you should have a public hearing to give the public an opportunity to weigh in. If people come or not, or your folks.
No, I think I'd rather advertise it, you know.
You can advertise it, I mean, we find now, I mean, you can advertise it and like I said, there's some funding for that, so don't get caught up all on that, we'll work with you, but have the public hearing, and then you take any input, and sometimes the public hearing may just be you as commissioners, but if people come, then close the hearing, and you don't have to do it that night, you can, however you want to do it, at some point you would take a final vote on the bylaw, and you would send it to the Board of Selectmen, recommending it for the warrant.
Yeah,
And
you know
then
what?
we put it on the warrant.
I think there's two pieces to that.
Yeah.
So first off, I'm glad we're discussing this because one of the things that comes to mind, and this may seem odd, but I think what I'd probably want to do is actually go out of our way to email it to all the engineering firms in the area and the engineering firms that we see on a regular basis, because we have had very good luck with the firms that we've worked with. They've been open and in general, they've
That's great.
had good recommendations. And so I wouldn't be distraught or insulted whatsoever if Steve Mulaney came in here and said, you know, I saw you have this on here, they do it a little bit different in Lunenburg, and this is what they do. And I wouldn't be disappointed to tell Mr. Mulaney we respect his opinion, but thanks anyway, or say, you know, maybe that's worth thinking about. The other side is so we're still Copman and Page?
Yes, yep.
I would love to get a list from Copman and Page ahead that told us what town bylaws they had reviewed in the area.
I can get that.
That might be even better,
Okay,
because then
yeah.
we're starting with a document that we know they've already approved. It doesn't mean we go with it, but it makes their job a whole lot simpler and potentially saves some money on the backside, where Copman and Page is reviewing a document that they're familiar with.
And
No surprises.
No, and to add to that, as the commission will know, I forgot on one procedural step, this is an excellent point, Mr. Chairman. So procedurally, what we did also when we did the nuisance bylaw, all bylaws after they pass town meeting have to be approved by the Attorney General, as many of you know, not only for legal form but substance. And she has up to 120 days to do that. And often what happens is we get a letter back, it comes to the town clerk, copy to you, that it's either been approved, it's been denied, which is very rare, that means we didn't do any work. Or sometimes it comes back with what they call mandated changes. In other words, the Attorney General says we accept it, but these are the changes that have to go. Or what we see so much is, and then it's up, is advisory changes. In other words, we approve the bylaw as the Ayer has been presented by the town of Ayer, but we make this advice, and that would be up to you on the advisory piece. But what we did with the nuisance bylaw is the Board of Selectmen had asked me to find templates that other towns that not only had the things they were looking for, specifically in enforcement, but to your point, Mr. Chairman, also bylaws that had passed the Attorney General review. So I think you're absolutely right that we should have asked council for a list of the bylaws they reviewed and a list of the bylaws that got Attorney General approval.
Right. To that point, right? So
Yeah.
hopefully, if Copeland and Page is going to be selling you by saying, hey, these towns, we reviewed their bylaws and they passed the Attorney General with potentially some advisory comments, of course. But as long as they got past the Attorney General, that's if that's the goal. At least that way we have a feel, because I don't think we're looking for anything outrageous or beyond the pale. But I also want to start with a framework that Copeland and Page is familiar with, because all it's going to do, if it's a bylaw that they didn't review in the first place, all it's going to do is just take longer.
Right.
So
I think that the timing is perfect, in my opinion. I think, obviously, I'm here to work with Brian and work with you to make this happen. I think your timeline, if you plan for, I don't have the exact date, it's the first Monday in May of 2017. I think if you plan for the annual town meeting, it would be more than proper for it to be on that warrant. I think that gives you enough time to do, as you always do, an excellent job without rushing it. If you really wanted to do it for October 24th, could you still do it? Yes, but it'd be, I think, more of a crunch. And I know you have a million things in front of you, but I think to plan for the annual town meeting would be a realistic and a good goal.
So it's 5/1, believe it or not. The first Monday in May is May 1st.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All
So
right.
it'll be May Day.
Yeah.
Hopefully not something we cry halfway through the meeting. So what I would like to say then is that if we were to, so interestingly, despite all of our best intentions, we always seem to end up with a very full agenda and a short-term time frame. If we dedicated October, November, and December, one of the meetings per month to the bylaw, nothing else. October, November, December, one meeting per month. Then,
On our current calendar, we've only scheduled one meeting in November and December.
so if we only schedule one meeting per month for October, November, and December, and it's all about the bylaw, we present the documentation to Copeland and Page in January. That gives them January to perform their review, possibly extend into February, and that gives us March and April for meetings and feedback.
Or would you suggest public hearing before we submit something to town council?
No,
After. You want to do the, excuse me, Mr.
No,
Chairman.
certainly.
You want to do the public hearing with your most final project, if you will. So then, final product. So then the public, that would be any final changes. I think that's a good timeline. What I will do for you, I put it in my book through Brian. You're meeting on August 25th.
we are.
By August 25th, or in preparation for that meeting, I will get to you that list from Copeland and Page, as well as a list of the ones they've not only reviewed, but the AG's approved.
Perfect.
And maybe, I don't know how much information you want, but we probably can even get some of the sample, the ones that have passed.
Oh, if it's simple,
Yeah.
it's very easy for us to look them up and pull them up. In fact,
Okay.
probably pull them up and put them
Yeah.
right on this board while we're going through.
Right.
The main idea is again to not reinvent the wheel, but at the same time, one of the things that I really want to be conscientious about is we tend to make an overly aggressive schedule for ourselves, and we've done it to ourselves in the past.
Mhm,
And
you're not alone.
it's not conducive to getting a good product.
Right.
So if we end up, doing a little bit of addition in, November, then so be it. So I would love to say that we'll dedicate, so we have a meeting on the 13th and a meeting on the 27th in October, correct?
And I will confirm with the commission, I believe I will check with the town clerk tomorrow, let Brian know, it's either May 1st or May 8th. I
Okay.
might buy you an extra week, but I still think you have, given the scope of this, we followed a similar timeline with the nuisance bylaw, I think you have a realistic timeline to do it.
Well, that's what I'm hopeful. I mean,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
yeah,
even
I mean-
even like on a night like tonight, right? We're
Yeah.
far away from some of these things, and big projects tend to pop up.
Mhm.
Okay, so I show us right now with the 13th and 27th. So if you would be so kind to put in your notes that October 13th is our bylaw review night, and we should not schedule any hearings for that night. That should work out. Okay. Robert, thank you so much for all this.
Anytime.
Is there anything else that we need to discuss with regard to protocol? So we create it, we present it, KMP reviews it, we do our public hearings, we go to our annual town meeting.
Right.
Anything
So
I'm missing?
No, so after your public hearing, then the commission at some point will vote your official, this is what we propose as the bylaw. You transmit a letter to the Board of Selectmen that requests me put it on the warrant, there's no reason it wouldn't be on the warrant.
Right.
Then for town meeting, again, whoever you designate, or maybe multiple people, prepare to do a presentation.
For the
In my experience, what I did with the nuisance bylaw, you only need about 2 slides, people just want to know and then they'll latch on to whatever. Then town meeting approves it. Assuming they would approve it. Upon the approval, the town clerk sends it to the Attorney General. She has 120 days.
And it's a week.
Sometimes she takes an extension, but it comes back. And like I said, it comes back in one of 4 ways: denied, which won't be the case; approved straight out; approved with mandated changes, which we have no wiggle room on. But what happens more than ever is approved with advisory changes. So that may then want the commission to meet to look at those. And then it becomes in effect under the statute once the town clerk posts it in 3 conspicuous locations in the town, and she has a whole protocol. So then it is officially in place. So we've got the whole plan. I will give to the commission through Brian. I'll put the cheat sheet of the schedule together.
Perfect.
To get you the Attorney General approved ones and the KP list, and I think we have a good plan on that.
It sounds like we are on track. I'm dying to find out where the 3 conspicuous places are, but no, don't tell me. Turn it into an Easter egg. Be an Easter egg hunt at the time.
Yes.
So that'll be fun. Although, oh gosh, no, right? May. So if she takes all 4 months, it could be September.
Yeah.
Sweet
Yeah.
Moses.
Yeah.
Well, there you are.
That's the system.
Well, but again, that's one of the other reasons to use one that's already gone through the AG, so that we have Copman and Page review, AG review. Hopefully there's nothing. They don't see anything. Nothing jumps out at them.
Yeah.
So, and again, I can't stress it enough. We're not looking to make a bylaw with something that jumps out at them.
And to her credit, Ms. Copeland has an excellent relationship with the Attorney General's office, so sometimes we've seen them turned around as quick as 11 days. Like he says, it's up to 120. So
Wow.
sometimes they come quick. So
Well, maybe if we put the cover letter on it that says it's just like the one you saw from the start. Anyway,
right.
no changes, we promise.
Mhm.
Brian, you were gesturing at Takashi.
So, do you want to tell the story?
Not really a story. Just one of the things that we've discussed, because we've talked about trying to get a new bylaw passed now, on multiple occasions, and we're all, I think, sensitive to what happened the previous time that a new bylaw was attempted,
Mhm.
and then how that played out. And so one of the things we've talked about, in addition to what do we want in the bylaw, is once we have some idea of what we want in the bylaw, how do we begin to communicate that to a broader audience, so that when we do go before town meeting, whether it's in the spring or the fall, that hopefully we have a nice presentation. But it's hopefully not the first time that everybody in the room is
Right.
hearing about it.
Yep.
And so one thought I had, and I don't know how it worked because I wasn't part of it, but I know that in the time that I'm working in Groton, they do have a bylaw that I think it was first adopted in 2001 and then went through a comprehensive review in, 2 years ago. And so I was part of the tail end of that. Groton established a bylaw, a standalone committee for the bylaw that included, probably 1 or 2 members of the Conservation Commission, but also, and I might be misspeaking, but probably a representative from maybe the Board of Selectmen, maybe from, just so that during the process, it was more than just these 5 people in this room who were talking about it. And that would be one way of being maybe a little bit better prepared at town meeting to make a presentation or to sell it to an audience, because you would either have support of other official boards in town, including the selectmen, but also you would have an audience, or at least part of the audience, that would be better educated as to what you were trying to.
Sure.
It was just an idea, and I don't know.
No,
It would. I don't know if drag out the process is the right word, but if we wanted to shoot for Springtown meeting, we would just have to build that in, and we would probably look for cooperation and perhaps even a commitment of time from members, perhaps of the selectmen or the planning board. And I know that asking for more time from volunteers who are already putting in a lot of time is a tough sell, but it was just one thought that I had.
No, I think
of how to generate a broader
Sure.
understanding and interest.
And that's always a
Yeah.
challenge, as you know, not just
Yeah.
Air Everywhere have, is how do you get that larger net out
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
I think that, as Mr. Chairman, you mentioned, you do your public hearing, and obviously you're gonna be posting on your agenda, or even announcing tonight, you're gonna be working on this.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when you get to the point of your final working draft, we'll call it, or your
Mhm.
final draft, you do the public hearing, that's good.
Yeah.
I think, Mr. Chairman, your suggestion about sending it out to the various engineering firms in your constituencies that you work with, I'm a firm believer, the people that are gonna be working and living this bylaw, get them involved, absolutely. I think also the Board of Selectmen will be doing a public hearing on the whole warrant as well. They go through all of the articles, they may even ask some of you or whoever to come to that public hearing on that piece. I think when you get your final working draft, through Brian and I, we'll send it to all of the departments for an interdepartmental comments
Okay.
and review.
Mhm.
And I think that, using the social media and so forth, it's a huge struggle, because we'll do our best to cast that web
Right.
as wide as we can.
Well,
And
And we can post it on the website.
Yeah.
We can
Sure.
let folks know about it. In fact, it's funny because as you were talking about a working group, I guess the thing that was striking me is it would end up being another meeting. And my only concern about that is it would probably end up being another meeting a lot like this one,
Sure.
where oftentimes the 5 people in the room are the same 5 people in the room. So excited to have you here tonight, Robert. But all I mean is that I don't know that would necessarily be any more well attended.
Right.
I like the idea of it, right? Because then you'd get the other boards would be tied in, but then it's the same folks who are. You would have commission and town buy off, but it doesn't necessarily get us anywhere closer to helping folks understand.
Right, here's a quick example. On the nuisance bylaw, we did the public hearing for the nuisance bylaw. The nuisance bylaw is far more far-reaching than what your wetland bylaw was. I mean, it gets into all kinds of fines, and it is very broad, but yet, I'm going to contradict myself. Anyway, it was a big bylaw. It is.
Mhm.
We did publicize the public hearing, did the whole thing. At the public hearing, it was myself, the Board of Selectmen, the building commissioner, and the police chief, and nobody else. However, this is always what happens. When we get to town meeting, and I did the presentation for the board on it, and at town meeting, because people love town meeting and the debate, the debate on just the enforcement piece went on for almost 2 hours and 10 minutes. We
I
heard
remember
about
that.
boats.
Just 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yes, we heard about boats in driveways in Plano, Texas. We heard about, what about goats on the hillside? I mean, what I'm saying is, but to your, we will, I'm with you, I'm open for however we can spread that net, but I think it's just, everybody's so busy, I'm not dismissing the idea, but I think that we will build in enough opportunities that inevitably, and town meeting can be very interesting. Sometimes, as we all know, that one went on for 2 hours and 10 minutes just on the enforcement piece, the rest of it. Other times there have been actual bylaws and other things that it's moved, it's seconded, you do your 5-minute, presentation or whatever, and it just passes, so.
I bring this
We've
up
all
every
lived-
single time. I hate to jinx anything.
Yep.
Every single time the DPW comes up and talks about a $5 million budget.
Yes,
And the
yeah.
argument is on the 3 pickup trucks.
Right.
Because, I bet you could get that cheaper. And then $4.5 million of attorney's fees comes up. It's moved, seconded, and passed.
Right.
So I'm always astounded at that dichotomy. I think in this particular case, we're going to run into a similar vein, right?
Yeah.
The contentious part, the piece,
Is the
is
enforcement.
going to be the enforcement.
And there'll be
And the
somebody,
regulations.
if you have the word, there'll be somebody that'll have a question about, if the word vernal is in there, I'm just saying, it never ceases to amaze me, somebody will ask a question as to, and a debate will start on the definition of a word. I'm sorry, but you're right.
No, but
But
we do it ourselves.
Right. The controversial piece, if it's gonna be controversial, it may not be, it's always the enforcement piece. It's not unique to
No.
this.
There's no change that goes undiscussed. So we're going to ask to implement a change to what people expect.
Mhm.
One of the reasons that I would like to involve some of the local companies who do this work with us is because they're used to seeing these things. If they weren't used to seeing them, we wouldn't always end up with a 25-foot border on every site that's drawn. We don't have a 25-foot border. We don't have it in the bylaw.
Mhm.
But every one of our sites comes in and you see the wetland flags and a 25-foot border. And people try to stay out of the 25-foot. It's because it's pretty standard.
Mhm.
Adding it to our bylaw is nothing more than putting a name to something that's already happening.
Mhm.
Having those folks, and a number of them do live in town, having those folks stand up and say, if necessary, called upon to say, we passed it by the experts and they were at our meeting and, we've gone through this with them.
Mhm.
I would rather talk about that, because if someone stands up and says, well, I have a question about this or I have a question about that.
Bless you.
I don't have any problem answering those questions during the meeting, but I think it's crucial for the folks who are in the audience to understand that a bylaw like this really applies to projects that professionals work on. And if the professionals have looked it over and they've agreed to it, they're the best people to make that decision. They're the people you're spending your money with.
Mhm.
So we've consulted and worked with them and folks who are local to get to the end game. I think that's the best thing we can do for ourselves.
I think, speaking to Brian, I think he's already been talking to Steve Mulaney, Desheng Wang, and Rob
Yeah.
Oliva. We're going along that vein.
That's perfect.
One question I had was, as a means of sort of reaching out to the public, can you ever, well, I mean, obviously using like the Neshoba Valley Voice would be, try to get something in there too would be good.
Sure.
But is it ever possible with anything at all to include something in the mailing of the town tax bills? Because I know some
Yeah,
towns
so
do.
to your point, there is an opportunity to potentially do that through the tax bills.
Yeah.
Again, Ms. Copeland's the point person, but be amenable to that.
Yeah.
Secondly, the communication, when we talked about those revolving funds earlier,
Mhm.
the communications fund is under the IT committee. There's a revolving fund of $700, well, I think it's $700 right now, but what I'm getting at is something of this, we could do a mailing, because one of the things, even though we're in this IT age, not everybody still uses it.
What?
Right, I know. The other thing is, we sent a bunch of our department heads to APAC school. They're being trained on how to use the equipment and film PSAs and so forth. So we could do that as, I think getting out of the box is the way to get the word out there as well. But yeah, so the short answer is, yes, there are the resources and the ability to do a mailing to promote something like this, a traditional mailer. Obviously, IT, she can work her magic as she does, but also with APAC, we're broadening our television our television crew, I guess. And this could be a fun thing to do. They would film it. You guys would be the experts. Yeah, the talent.
Relative
Yeah,
experts.
right.
He's got
And you got the hats, yeah.
Right, as long as there are hats.
Yeah.
Well, Robert, I feel like we've stretched you very late tonight. Does anybody have anything further?
Yeah, just one other quick question. When I talked to Robert last week, the issue of the Kohler Place conservation restriction came up, and Robert was wondering, was asking why we needed town council to go over that. So this was, I thought, a good time to just ask, do we always need town council to review a CR?
So I just have 3 quick things. This is
Sure,
actually
sure.
one of them, and I'll be
That was
quick.
perfect.
I'll be quick, and I appreciate.
I'm here about your time, not our
Oh,
time.
no, I don't want to keep you guys. No, I'm fine. I had planned to come. So the first thing was on the town council. The town council, as everybody knows, is available for the whole town. The procedure is all the requests go through my office just because there has to be a central control point for it. In the past few years, no fault of the commission, the town council budget has run over. It's one of those budgets you don't fully have control over because unfortunately I don't know what's going to happen next week or a month from now, who's going to sue us or what have you.
If you did, you wouldn't be working here.
Right, right. So anyway, there have been
Famous baby.
unexpected lawsuits. There was the whole eminent domain taking and so forth. So all I'm asking everybody is, in terms of having town council review things, the more specific we can be, the better. I mean, if I say to town council, would you review these 5 emails? They will review those 5 emails. But if it is, town council, would you review this CR, the specific question or issue is? Now, sometimes that isn't the case. Sometimes you need the comprehensive review. So, and I'm not just saying to this commission, I've asked everybody on that. I know you're going to talk about the Sandy Pond 3 conservation restriction. I know that council's reviewed that, and I know your agent has that info. That one's good to go
Great.
for you guys. The Kohler Place one, the CR is going to be reviewed, and we will have it for the August 25th meeting. I had hoped to have it in advance, but so you have the one for Kohler Place, and we'll have the one for Kohler Place and Sandy Pond. So I'm glad you brought that up, Jess, because I'm saying this not to just the commission, it's going to be a sort of town-wide. The more specific, the better, and that's not directed towards the commission, because it narrows the focus and thus saves the time and the money. Sometimes that isn't the case.
And I think in the Kohler Place conservation restriction, I think, as A.J. Bergen said, the draft was, the only things that were different from the one that was reviewed several years ago was the ownership and then the easement for the extension of the water line.
Right.
So in a case like that, we don't really need town council to review the whole thing, just.
No, that's a perfect example.
And that's what Brian conveyed to me. And so on the Kohler Place one, that's what they're reviewing.
Right.
On Sandy Pond, it was the same, Sandy Pond 3, those same issues. So we want everything covered. So it's just advisory. It's a town-wide thing. It has nothing to do with the commission. We just have to be diligent on that.
No, we're not taking it personally. They don't need to. They don't need to check the dates and the page numbers. They just need to check something specific. Fair enough.
2 other things, just real quick, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Please do.
And I know you and Ronnie will probably brief the commission in more detail about the whole Nashua Street extension, as Jess will, the right of first refusal on that. There's a public hearing for that on Tuesday at 7:30.
Okay. Is that through the BO? Is that through the Board of Selectmen?
Yeah. So this is the Nashua Street extension property owned by Mr. Moore. Intends to develop it.
Right.
And it's in 61, specifically in the agricultural designation. I was at the forestry.
I believe it's
forestry. It's forestry, yeah.
It's forestry.
Yeah.
And so my 60-second pitch on this, and Bonnie is very involved in this, and I appreciate this. The town has, up until this point, we've had no town-wide plan to deal with the remaining undeveloped land in town, whether it's 61 land, conservation land, open space, rec, you name it. You know, 3 years ago, that benchmark study, we were number 1. When you're number 1 of 351, you either instantly say this is good or uh-oh. In this case, we're leading is rapidly approaching total build-out.
Right.
Make a long story short, on the Nashua Street extension, we've learned a lot about this. we've been in a constant reactive mode on this. So through the Board of Selectmen, I put a working group together under my office. Bonnie is on it from Conservation, Beth Sudemeyer from Open Space and Rec, Ruth Matson from Open Space and Rec. I've asked the finance, town accountant, the assessor, and the economic development director, and I'm waiting for somebody from planning. The point of the working group, and we'll keep you informed, is to put together a master database or master inventory, and this is all out there already, but put it all together as to what is left for available land,
Sure.
what are its attributes, what is prioritization, and what is our funding strategy going to be to address this. Also with 61 land, from the day you receive the notice, you have 30 days to do an appraisal. We have no internal funding or mechanism to address that.
Right.
So I just wanted to, and Bonnie can keep you abreast of this, that we're working to address this issue in a thoughtful and institutional way, if you will, as a town. On the Nashua Street extension, we did do an appraisal. It came back at $535,000. The board, a decision hasn't been made. The public hearing purpose on Tuesday is to take information from folks. I know a lot of folks are coming to make the case as to why we want to acquire it. And I'm sure they'll hear from anybody, probably the owner, that why we don't want to acquire it, but we'll keep you abreast on that.
That was really 535,000?
The appraisal, yeah.
I thought it would be higher, honestly.
Oh.
Because it's an approved, well, see, and this is the other thing, it got approved as a subdivision. This is one of the things we're gonna work on. It's sort of backwards.
It integrates the value.
Right,
I see.
right. And I did, and I'm sure maybe the commission, I know it's on the agenda, others may want to talk about that. The other one, lastly, is I know that, Mr. Chairman, you and Jess came before the Board of Selectmen not that long ago, making the request about increasing the conservation agent to a full-time position.
Correct.
As you know, and the commission knows, we did the financial analysis of it. It's about a $35,000 impact to the budget. The Board of Selectmen, as they told you, would consider the request at the fall town meeting. Again, so this would be another article. The board has not discussed it since you came before them. They asked, you were there, asked for the information of the cost impact. They have that information, you have that information. I think that as we get into September, maybe after your September 8th meeting, I'll get you our dates of a meeting. At some point, I think that the commission would want to transmit a letter and maybe appear one more time before the Board of Selectmen to just formalize that request. But that is definitely, that is under consideration. I'll be talking to the chairman of the Finance Committee next week about this, as well as what we talked about tonight, the pond piece. So we are moving forward with that. In terms of procedurally, it would be put forth in the form of an article for funding at town meeting. Upon passage, that's October 24th, because the position is under the union, we have to advertise it internally. That doesn't mean there's going to be any, we have to just, I can usually get the union to waive that in this case. And then it would be effective, let's say, probably by November 1st,
So if I remember,
Yeah.
so that's all fantastic.
yeah.
If I remember correctly, you were going to speak to the union representative, but I don't recall about what.
I was going to speak with the, I did, I'm glad you mentioned that. I did speak with the union representative just to make sure there was no objection to doing this. Obviously, there is no objection to increasing it to full-time.
You would hope.
Right, and secondly, and I understand what the union's saying, assuming it passes town meeting, which it should, pass the town meeting, they will probably waive the internal posting. That's just minutia, if you will. But
Sure.
that's the plan. But I just wanted putting it on your schedule. The board did hear you loud and clear. We did get the cost impacts. We are moving forward in the process, and probably the second meeting in September, or maybe the first meeting. I'll get the dates to you, Mr. Chair. But I think it would be helpful to come and just formalize that request.
So I assume you're not meeting Tuesday the 6th after the holiday?
We are meeting Tuesday the 6th.
Okay.
And so let me check here. We are going to meet on Tuesday the 6th
Well, we've got you. We want to make sure we get everything out of
Yeah,
you.
Tuesday the 6th, Tuesday the 20th.
Okay.
I would say that either Tuesday the 20th or Tuesday the 4th of October. No later than.
Tuesday the 20th actually works pretty well if it's okay with you.
Yeah, that would be great.
Because that's the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So it'll actually be reasonably quiet. Okay.
And I'll formalize this with you through Brian, but I'll make a note here that the 20th.
So I'm going to put in my machine here that Board of Selectmen appearance on the 20th.
Yeah.
At 7 p.m.
Yeah.
I know that might be audacious of me, but we'll hope for 7. And then we'll look forward to hearing back from you to make sure that works, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Robert, speaking of employment, do you want to talk to your scheme on Pete?
Oh yeah, lastly, I'm sorry. So lastly, through the senior tax work-off program, as you probably know through
Yes.
Brian, you had an excellent candidate. What's Pete's last name? McLaughlin did an excellent job on the project up in the Conservation Office, and I understand that the commission would like to continue with that effort.
We did, just didn't know how to pay him.
And so I looked into that, and in terms of the senior tax work-off program, he has met, he's completed that.
Mhm.
And the way that program's set up, because we did look into it, you can't forward credit, if you will, or bank the
Shave hours. If
the hours, if you will.
That's a bummer.
But you were looking at a funding.
So we have $42,000-ish that is reserved for the administration and enforcement of the state's Wetland Protection Act.
Yeah.
And getting him to go through our files and make sense of them and database them would be something that would qualify as, administration, certainly. And you are allowed to pay salary. That's one of the things that is called out. And so the scheme basically is to say, oh, let's take a little bit of money off the top here,
Yep.
come up with an hourly rate, give it a P, and keep them rolling.
Mm-hmm. So, I have no objection to that, Mr. Chairman. So procedurally, what I would recommend is that when you meet on the 25th, that the commission approve that, and when I say approve the proposal.
Contractor, employee, that's the stuff that we
Right. Just approve a basic, I'm talking one paragraph, just what the project is, what the hourly rate is. He would be compensated as a contractor for the town. We wouldn't be added to the payroll.
So we need W-9 from him?
Yeah, and accounting will handle that. I've talked to them. But so procedurally, what I need from the commission is just a vote approving the project, the hourly amount, and if there's a length to the project, or some kind of boundary.
We had talked about
we've got that we did that at the last meeting.
Yeah.
It would be by the end of December. We'd like them to be done. We'd like to have them do this in an increment of 100 hours.
Oh, okay.
And
so you've already done that?
More or less.
Okay. So if you could, through the chair, transmit a letter from the commission to me on that, I can have the Board of Selectmen approve it at the September 6th meeting. And then, and then we'll take care of the details. So what I had to look into is, we thought the senior tax workout program has to stay that way. It's through the state, the parameters and so forth. But
sure.
Under the fund you have, that's doable. It just requires approval from both the commission and the Board of Selectmen. So we already have the commission approval. So have the selectmen approve it. We'll pay him as a contractor and continue the good work. So that works out well.
Almost too easy.
I know, we're sort of on a roll tonight.
Right, so let's make sure that there must be something that we're looking for that we can get you to say yes to. So
so that's all I have, unless you have anything else, or if there are any other questions, I
can't imagine there is. I think other than torturing you with talk on our boilerplate conditions or anything like that, I don't.
No, and I've got a way to shorten that hopefully will help.
But if you, anytime, would be happy to come back, or anything that you or the commission needs. We're all in the same boat, as they say. So we're here the full time. So we're here to help you.
Well, thank you so much for your assistance, and especially with getting us the information on the fall town meeting.
Yep.
And so that we can go forward with a full-time position.
We have a good plan, and you have my full support and commitment on the whole approach to the ponds. And excellent work to all of you. I think that the proof, it's all there. We know what we need to do, and we move forward.
Nice. So far, a really great meeting.
All right.
Robert, thank you so much.
All of you, thank you. And
Drive
I'll
safely.
see you soon. Yes, you too. And thank
Thank
you
you.
for your time. All right.
All right. I almost feel like we got too much done.
Just wait, there's
You
more.
going back to your sleeping bag?
So
now?
the-
Yes.
It is
See you
fun.
All right, thank
Take
you.
care.
So all I want to accomplish for the boilerplate tonight is if you guys can circle the ones that you want to talk about more. And then we could winnow it down to the things you actually care about. So we know that we have 7 things that you really care about, or 5, or maybe more. But let's just ID the burrs and move on.
Okay. So why don't we do this first? Because we have 18 minutes. My day started, so 7 is 12, is 15 hours ago. And I took a half an hour to drive here and did not eat today. So, Ayer's right of first refusal.
Just a quick update, so it was this afternoon. So we basically are in discussions, you know, pre-public forum meeting, why the town would want to preserve that lot.
I love the idea.
Right? Why would we want to preserve that lot?
Love the idea of putting together a list of properties that are even possible, because like Robert just said, and we've said several times in this meeting, where is someone else going to build?
Right, Right.
There's very little land left.
right.
That's
So
our
there-
first thing this morning today.
Yeah, so, you know, I think that the main goal is to create that list and then prioritize that list second. So if a parcel comes up out of chapter 61, the town can move rather quickly on deciding whether or not they want to, and, you know, obviously, again, money's an issue, right?
Sure.
You can't buy every parcel, right? But if it's an important parcel that has connectivity, that has natural resources, that could possibly at some point in the future, you know, give the town an opportunity to build, say, a community center, nature center, or something, you know, that would benefit the town, it would be advantageous to purchase it to have it, you know, in perpetuity, so.
All right, so in 30 seconds or less, was there interest in purchasing the property at the end of Nashua Street?
There's a rationale for purchasing it, yes.
Okay.
But it also connects in with Riley Jane parcel as well.
So that sounds like a very expensive rationale.
So there could be, I think there is, hopefully will be discussion with the owners of those parcels with respect to maybe, you know, maybe giving the town the right to purchase some of the parcels, developing maybe a portion of them, easements. There's a whole, you know, list of possibilities.
Well, that's interesting, right? So it doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Right.
My interest is purely pragmatic in that, where's the town find the money to do this?
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
because I don't think it's sitting around.
No.
No.
One of the things I'm thinking of the open space and recreation plan, when it's updated, can include as a reasonable goal would
This
be.
has nothing to do with this. All right. So,
Yes, it is. No, it is because they.
Would be,
Yeah.
would be to the creation of a fund
Mhm.
that for land purchases.
Right.
That I would imagine CPC could put in some seed money, but the goal is to have a fund there similar to pond treatment that isn't dependent on town meeting, that's been approved
Right.
for a
That's-
purpose.
That's
Right.
how Groton does it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And also, sorry, because there was a lot that was discussed this afternoon, and there is discussion, there's a list of things, sort of to-dos. One of my to-dos is actually to look into creating a land trust here in town.
And speaking of which, well, hold on. Wasn't CPC money supposed to be available for this? Wasn't it CPC that had money for, where does the real estate tax money go? There was that discussion years ago
that
about there was the
surcharge.
additional surcharge.
Right,
Where does that go?
goes to CPC, we allocate it to 4 different,
Potential
Sources.
buckets.
but we have to go through like a 6-month process of going through an application, voting on it, holding a public hearing, and then our decision isn't final, it's town meeting.
Right.
So-
How much is in there?
Right now, I think it's upwards close to $500,000
Okay.
between the 4 categories.
Okay.
So it's not One of the things we've discussed is trying to ask for an increase in the surcharge, which it started off as 3%, and then I think it was Pauline Conley led the charge to reduce it to 1%. But yeah.
Right.
Can I ask just a slightly related question? Was there any discussion of the land for the solar farm that Calvin wants to put in?
Briefly.
Because
That's that came up as well.
Because it seems to me there, in a prioritization thing, there should be a way to say, no, we're not going to have any interest in that, and not to hold somebody up. And
Right.
now Calvin's being held up on 3 separate.
Well, to be fair, I don't-
Two.
Well, 2
Eventually
here
three.
and 1 in Shirley.
But eventually, Ronnie Jane has to come out.
Right. It
So
has
it'd
to
be
come out
3.
at some point in time.
Right.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
I don't know that he's necessarily being held up so much
the
as
solar farm is.
the solar farm is being held up.
Yeah, they're not moving forward on the taking down the beaver dam. Because
That-
they
nothing.
Hold on a second.
Well, hold on
He's
a
not
second.
being held
He's
up.
not being held up. He didn't ask
Yeah,
until.
So,
No, wait.
so Chapter 61 is a tax break.
Right.
So he's benefited from having that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's not just him, it's anybody who's enrolled in
Oh,
that.
yeah. No.
So
I'm
you're
not saying-
benefiting from it and you know what the
Right.
process is for getting out of it. So he's not
Right.
being held up by anything.
No, but I mean, what I'm,
What you're saying is you're saying, if
Yeah.
someone wanted
I
to
haven't
take their
talked-
land out of Chapter 61,
yeah,
and
He should have done this earlier.
they deserve
Yeah.
an answer as quickly as possible.
right,
However, what Takashi is saying is, so you got a tax break,
Right.
and now you would like to do it, but you certainly could have done it a year ago.
Oh, right.
You didn't
And
have to
I'm-
wait till
I
now.
agree
And
with
the other
that.
way of looking at it is
Yeah.
it's a tax break. So
Yeah.
the taxpayers are buying a 120-day
Right.
window. It's not a delay, but it's what
Oh,
we
yeah,
pay
right.
for by
So
giving,
my-
they get giving any enrollee in
We're
the-
into semantics,
Yeah.
but basically looking at, how do we, the prioritizing and streamlining the process, so.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I guess to Takashi's point, I'm not. I understand all that, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I don't think there's any reason to decrease it, if for no other reason than
Decrease what?
decrease the time frame. There's no reason to agree to a lesser time frame because the fact of the matter is
Oh, yeah,
that anybody who wants to do this
Yeah.
had the ability to do it 4 years ago and be prepared for this and pay full taxes on the property and then have no reason
yeah,
to be challenged on it.
right.
However, and this is the best part, to Robert's point during the meeting, that property is worth more now because it has a permitted,
Right,
okay? So therefore, in that case, it's the exact opposite,
yeah,
where that person wants to wait until after that's happened, and then we're not holding them up. We sat through the whole part where they valued the property where they allowed the property to accede to a greater value.
Conversely then, what occurs to me, because we spent, as you might have recalled, an awful lot of time on the hearings for the solar
And this question, by the way.
But the Rosewood extension is, that's the one that's not being moved forward on because of the Chapter 61 on the solar land. So, is there a way we think about our bylaw, because we have been told previously that we shouldn't allow Chapter 61 issues to slow down our permitting process.
They don't stop us.
Right, but is there a way to not waste our time as well, to change our procedure so that we don't have to, until Chapter 61 issues on a particular parcel are resolved, we don't move forward on the permitting process?
Right. So that's why
No.
Robert
what I
wants to
mean?
generate a
We can't do
master
that.
list.
No,
Well,
if
that has nothing to
if
do
Ryan
with.
received
Yeah.
a notice of intent today
Yeah.
in the mail, we have 21 days to hold a public hearing.
Yeah,
And then when we close that public hearing, we have another 21 days to issue the
But
Yeah.
this may
Decision.
Yeah.
this may be a moot point depending on your view of legality, because if you guys were paying attention to the news about the Islamic Center trying to put that cemetery in that town,
Yes.
they denied it because the town had the right of first refusal and they hadn't considered that question. And so they denied the whole project because they hadn't done the Chapter 61 process yet.
I don't know that that's going to. I don't know that that's going to.
Exactly.
So we're back to the same question, which is, what we're really saying is, the person who comes in is gambling,
yeah.
right? I have a possibility of walking in with this 50-acre parcel that I want to take out of 61A, and I take it out of 61A today when it's at its lowest possible value. Maybe the town buys it, maybe they don't.
Yeah.
Or I go through the permitting process, I ramp up the value because now I have something I can actually sell. It's now worth more.
Mm-hmm.
we're not holding them up.
Mhm.
If anything,
Yeah,
they had a chance, they had an opportunity, they put the work in, and now this is worth more.
okay, I used the wrong words.
But it's so legally, anyone can do that, right?
Yeah.
But we, as a board, we're volunteering our time. We're, it's almost counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
But he has increased the value of his parcel,
Yeah.
right?
So it just, yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, I wish we could say, okay, we don't have to proceed with the permitting until that's been resolved, and then that would actually address that
Right.
issue. It
So,
would be
right,
great.
except that
Right.
we can't,
Right.
because
Under
as
state law,
jurisdictional,
we have to,
maybe a planning
Go
board
through
could.
the,
Yeah,
Actually, so if you think about it in zoning,
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
that's a potential in zoning, because a zoning is a variance.
yeah, but what
Mhm.
Brian
And there
is
might be
saying is,
the
the
argument
example
that-
is it might be a little bit more of an open
That was the
question.
planning board that shut
Yeah.
down the,
shutdown.
And
Okay,
I
so
don't know that a
yeah,
planning board
yeah,
has that ability, but a zoning board might have that ability, and the
Yeah.
reason is
yeah.
that a zoning board could say, that isn't actually something you can do tomorrow, why do I need to grant you a variance? Denied. Remember, zoning board, the reason for granting a variance is extensive. The reason for denying you a variance is no. That's all they have to do. It's all they have to say, no.
So,
There's a bylaw, we don't have to give you a variance.
okay, so a radical notion for down the line when we don't have anything else to do would be,
15 minutes on this so far.
sorry, but a radical notion would be, considering down the road eventually, some sort of joint meeting with planning board and zoning board and saying, how do we, as a jointly handle situations like this?
We don't jointly handle anything.
No, but
We
not
have
joint-
nothing.
not that we
have
can,
no
but
horse in this
to
race.
communicate. I'm just saying communicate, so that there's sort of communication between different boards and maybe come
we,
to an
we
outcome.
kind of have that in the mailbox thing where, like Robert said, if we do the bylaw, then there'd be a review sent out to all the internal boards and
But what if somehow we conveyed to, say, zoning that, hey, if there's open 61 issues on a property,
I love your can-do spirit
I
with this.
know.
We have nothing to say about this.
okay,
Nothing.
an advisory recommendation.
I'm extremely comfortable that we have nothing to say about this.
Okay, I will shut up.
We have, it's not jurisdictional. We can't do anything about it.
if you want to be bold, Jess, you could.
You could write a letter.
No, I was gonna say instead of going up that tree, maybe you could be like, in all greenfield developments in jurisdiction, we now have a no-build zone, and we would only take, rehabs, and then maybe you get some.
Mm.
That would be radical.
How many more 61As are there?
Well, that was the next
that's what they
question,
want
right?
to,
That's
that's
what-
what they want to know. The town wants to know how many are there, because it seems that,
Seems
they,
like Calvin's the only one with 61A land.
there are others, I believe.
I think the real question is that there's,
There's
so
not
over
more-
by the gun club, so the gun club is probably 61A,
Yep,
61 or 61A.
yeah.
And then there's a property next to the gun club that's almost as big. When we bought the Tooker property, we had the town assessor maps of that area. And so we had our property around Pine Meadow, Tooker, all those neighborhoods, and then two big properties. And one is the gun club, and the other is,
I
I
think
can't
there's-
remember the
I think there's
family's name.
three big properties back in there.
I just can't remember the name of the
Yeah.
family. They live
Yeah.
off one of the roads, so if you go past the house that Jess cut all those trees down at,
Yeah.
either right before that or right after that, there's a street on the left and it goes up to that
Yep.
property.
Yep.
I can't remember that family's name. Be safe begins with an H.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's probably not a lot, but
So
It'd be-
there'll be more to this story
be-
for sure.
yeah.
okay.
anyway. Yeah.
Sandy Pond 3 conservation restriction baseline documentation. So
Right.
we have one minor problem. If we were hoping to do it this morning, I cannot go Saturday morning. I cannot go Saturday morning.
Well, that and the weather's gonna be ruinous.
That's perfect. Be able to see everything.
If
But
we,
I've got all the materials.
Are we certain that it's really going to rain?
The weather has been warning about it for a long time.
Yeah,
Mm.
and they also said it was supposed to pour yesterday, and it rained for like 8 minutes.
Actually, it poured though. Those 8 minutes, it was hard rain.
8 minutes. All right. This shows possible thunderstorms.
5 minutes.
Lightning is generally a stay inside kind of thing.
Okay.
Anyway, so do you guys want to do this without him and bring your umbrellas and your fancy new rain caps? Or
First off, that's mesh. So I would recommend, if you guys are up for it, if you want to wait till the week after, then there's no rain and we can potentially all be together, although you can't make it that day.
No, I have a paid gig that morning.
Bam.
Hey, we play guitar.
All right, so
Sidewalks
so our baseline
Yeah.
documentation that day.
in Groton.
What specifically again did we need? We're documenting the existing.
So basically, what
photographs.
needs to happen is you go out and you stand at the corner and you take a picture. You take down the GPS coordinates. You take a note and you say, "I am standing at the rock by the street sign, and I am at coordinate X, Y, Z, and here's a picture."
Looking due east or whatever.
Yeah, you make it as bone-brained proof as you can.
Okay. Do we have a plan that we can work off of to walk this?
Yes.
Okay. Can you? We won't see you.
Did
Okay.
you bring it tonight?
Yes.
Perfect.
We'd asked him to bring it tonight.
And I have all sorts of complementary materials as well, so I'm overstocked in a manner of speaking.
Well, that's pretty exciting. Okay. So we're edging up with 4 minutes to go. What do you think is the most important thing to talk about left?
We can't meet on the 8th. There's a state primary election.
8th of.
September. Yeah, day off.
Wait, is that a Thursday?
That's the email that I got from Carly.
State primary election?
Is that Thursday?
On a Thursday? Why is it not on Tuesday?
Oh, here you go. September 8th. Date's the next meeting. There you go. So yeah, we have to scrap or reschedule that meeting.
I'm lost. That doesn't even make sense.
Wait, October 8th?
September 8th.
September 8th.
Hey, this is just coming down from Carly. I don't really know what she's talking about, but we're up against state law that says you can't have public meetings when you do this other thing.
And that's the 8th. I've never heard of an election on Thursday.
That's what I'm saying. We sure you got the date right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can ask, but
State primary elections 2016.
I don't know. It's the Green Party.
No, it would be for all parties.
Yeah.
Whatever the date is, I think there's only one contested race on the whole ballot, and that's for some county sheriff position somewhere.
That's awesome.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. All the other, I mean, there's
Oh
quite
my
a few,
goodness.
but all the other seats or positions
Just
are not uncontested.
I'm suddenly
Uncontested.
very curious
So,
about
so
the
it's
sheriff.
basically,
Oh man.
one person for each.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, public involvement in the political
September.
process.
September
Oh.
8th.
The state website for this is horrid.
What else?
No, if just found it as the 8th, it's the 8th.
June 15th, and then,
I took this course
September 8th. Son of a.
on Tuesday. There's a resource upstairs if you ever want it.
Ooh. Field
Hydric
indicators of
soils
hydric soils.
with a cheat sheet, so that if you're ever in the field and you've got a soil question, this is actually a great. This covers 80 or 90% of it with follow up here. So they had spares, and so I'm gonna just throw one up in the library. And,
Did you get the book? The actual the little book where you put your soil?
Oh, the Monticello.
no, because
yeah.
those are
'Cause they're
$175
expensive.
each.
I know.
And there's even
Like, all right, to be fair, you spent way more than that on books. You can't have that.
not one at a time.
This is
I
true.
got one $100 book. That's every plant in New England. Anyway, so that's a new resource if it comes up.
And it's a picture book, damn it.
And then I don't think this is relevant for anything that we're gonna deal with, but to keep you in the loop, I had a talk with the lawyer who had been helping out, who wrote up the CR for Sandy Pond 3, and there's one little hiccup where the LLC that built that development no longer exists. And so there's no applicant for submitting this conservation restriction to the state. The way the permit's written is that the next people down, the next landowner, the next responsible party becomes the applicant. So I need to work this out with the state because the 4 people living in those homes may have to become our applicants to finalize this CR. And then,
Is there any reason we can't be the applicant?
well, we'd end up giving ourselves, because we're going to receive the CR.
We're extremely generous. I'm just trying to figure out if there's any way, because I
Well, we
can
don't have
foresee
to
it.
work this out. The state needs to work it out, and they'll, right.
Think about what you just said. So I foresee a situation where it stalemates and how many years did it take between then and now?
Right.
I bet we can double it.
Probably. So that's not necessarily the problem because we've got those people who actually exist, who actually live on the land, who actually pay tax on the land. That's easy. The problem is that the Ghost LLC, the dead applicant in a manner of speaking, owns the 3 parcels that were put aside for the charitable. And so there's, in a manner of speaking, there's no responsible party for that land.
Wait a second. Somebody owns it.
Right. And
Somebody owns it because the town is charging taxes to somebody.
as far as I can tell, the name on that parcel, on those parcels, is the same name as the development company.
Okay, so this would be the thing that I would take back to the town tomorrow, to somebody in town and say, who's paying the bills?
Yeah.
As Detective Murtaugh said over and over again in the First Lethal Weapon, check on her daddy. Who's paying the bills? Somebody's paying the bills. That person is the person that should apply. Get
But-
the Lethal Weapon 1 reference again.
That's just mostly keeping it in the loop. That was also a good reach. That was nice.
To be fair, we watched it a couple weeks ago.
Nice enough.
Well, it's a Christmas movie,
Like Gremlins.
like Die Hard.
So we'll see where that ball of yarn rolls. But our responsibilities remain the same: to set up the baseline and to get the actual legalese settled up, which was settled up. Rob already sent that yesterday, and I forwarded that on to the state because there were a couple of edits, and I just want to make sure that they're not going to make a fuss.
So far so good. We know that our part of it,
Right.
and as far as I'm concerned, it's on the town to figure out who owns that other parcel. Because if nobody's paying for that parcel, then why hasn't it already been taken by eminent domain?
Because it's too much bother.
It is not.
No, actually it is. I had this conversation about the pond behind downtown where we just put the beaver deceiver, because the owner of that pond actually has been waiting for the town to take it, and the town won't take it because it's not worth the bother.
The beaver deceiver over by the fire department?
At the top of Nova Glaciers.
So there was a
Nobody's
thing
paying
in the
taxes on
newspaper
that.
years and years ago complaining about why don't towns take more properties? It's easy.
But anyway, where that conversation went is that landowner is gonna try to figure out a way to donate the land to the town and to make it prettier rather than, because he actually wants the land taken and he just chose that avenue. But to reverse it and give the land to the town is something we're gonna try to figure out.
Okay. We're a couple minutes over. Was there anything else that's super critical for discussion tonight, other than clearly some homework?
Yeah, do that as homework. Just tell
So-
me which ones you don't like. And
I'm going to write at the top of mine, and I hope everyone else does. Circle the offending items.
I have one more, but I don't know which
Now,
one.
everyone on the top left, put your name.
You can
So that
email
later
them, you
on-
can drop them off, and I can try to incorporate your concerns into a new version and just take care of it out of this context.
Is there a way? What time's this building open?
concerns, or you just want, which ones we have concerns about?
Either, whatever you want to give me.
Are you looking for
Can
attachments
you,
and
can you
amendments?
send it to me again, Brian?
Yeah.
I couldn't find
Okay.
all the paperwork I think it.
What time is this building open?
Usually
8.
Okay. If we came in, is there a way to hand it to the town clerk or whoever to get it put in your mailbox?
And I've got the mailbox. You can just walk it in and put it.
Well, I'd be uncomfortable walking in and putting stuff in there and have someone go, "Hey, what are you doing there?"
Yeah,
So I'd just
town
hand it to the town.
Oh, I do it all the time.
Yeah. Good job.
I guess I'm just not that brash. Okay, so we had a fantastic meeting tonight. We covered an awful lot of things. We're ahead on a bunch of stuff that we didn't even know we were supposed to be ahead on. We had a fantastic meeting with John Ford, which we can talk about at some other time. We have this paperwork to circle and take care of. We have a meeting on the 20th on a Saturday, and that same day we'll go and we'll do our baseline documentation. Didn't miss anything.
Wait.
2 things. I missed 2 things. The RDA or the NOI for the Eagle Scout, for the bridge, we said we'd come back to it.
Yeah, we said we need a sketch.
Yeah.
I just want to know what he's planning.
Okay, so we'll let that slide until he comes back.
Just some kind of
Yeah.
sketch. Tell him if we had some kind of sketch, we could better decide.
Okay. And then
I don't disagree with you. The other option is you can just do the RDA. If we're comfortable approving it through the RDA, he gets an approval. If not,
No, but so
he's 14.
He's
so-
14. I don't want to run him through the ragged races. I guess if we got a sketch from, I'm
Well,
assuming the sketch comes from Cal.
Cal's gonna probably
think
help
so.
him, yeah.
What I'm assuming is that Cal works out a plan that shows standard building material, and then based on that standard building material, because again, just like we were saying the last time, right? Oh, it's 20 feet and carries people. Well, it gets this.
Mhm.
It's 25 feet and carries people. It gets this. It's going to be that easy. That spacing is what I'm interested to see. How far apart from the stream it is.
Mhm.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm having a really hard time finding a way this is an RDA, but I'm having a really hard time finding a way that we charge this young man to do this project and he has to pay for NOI.
Mm.
So potentially the way it's an RDA is that it's not work directly in the resource. So if it can be engineered to not be in the brook or whatever you want to call it,
Sure, we
or
can do that.
directly on the bank, perhaps,
And as long as he's
Slightly
far
off
enough
the-
apart, which is
right,
what I
yeah,
was shooting
right.
for.
then
Right. I'm mostly looking for, can he put protection between himself and the stream?
yeah, and if he can do that, technically we could consider it as an RDA because
There's room for conditions in the RDA. right?
yeah, and our bylaw doesn't
Just doesn't.
Doesn't-
I-
doesn't
you
do
can
anything,
just leave it
yeah.
right there.
yeah.
And our bylaw
It
doesn't.
just doesn't.
Added period.
And yeah,
There's
so
wiggle room.
Okay.
I will say that in Groton we have approved trail bridges through the RDA for scouts who are looking to do that sort of thing.
I think in this particular case, my greatest concern would be losing our high horse for some of our NOIs. However, maybe the right thing to do is to look at this as a learning experience and adapt some of what comes out of this for our own further RDA ventures.
Okay.
Okay.
Same question, actually. The landfill at 9 Bishop Street had somebody
This one.
do some ATV driving and dig up some grass, and then they had a snowplow that also dug up some grass, and they want to go out and just sort of tidy things up. And they're going to be within the bounds of the jurisdiction. They're going to be within 100 feet of a wetland.
Oh, because of the wetland beside them to the, yeah, to the
And
west.
they want to know if we want to see them. And my impression and their impression agree that it looks like it's more or less just putting down a little bit of topsoil and like grassy kind of thing
Is this between the fence and the road or inside the fence?
inside the fence.
So the way
If I'm
that I
looking at the
would,
pictures right,
the way
yeah.
that I would put it, so is everybody familiar with what we're talking about?
Mm-mm.
So if you were to turn left on Bishop and head out the road there, is there an actual plan?
Yeah,
So
that's what they sent me. That's what they intend to do. And so if we want to see them, they would print up, a bigger version of that, and everybody gets a copy.
hold on a second. This is not at all what I thought you meant.
Oh,
I thought you meant the DPW.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Somehow I heard you say DPW. This is behind Toco in the area that we worked with these folks to encapsulate thousands of tons of dangerous material. And now they want to do what to it?
so somebody went joyriding on the cap, and they just want to basically put some more grass and soil down, and just put the grass
Enclose
back.
it again,
Yeah,
basically.
it's not even.
Cover it up
They
again.
sent the pictures. It's
I thought it was
somebody
fenced.
took a hard left turn
Oh, yeah,
in the
yeah.
dirt, and that's
And
it.
just, yeah,
And
they skidded out of it.
And they
and-
just want to fill in the divots.
I'm sorry. I thought it was fenced.
It is.
How did somebody get in a fenced area with an ATV?
That's why it says you're gonna put the fence back up.
They knocked it down.
Yeah.
Huh.
bit of vandalism.
Wow.
That and a little bit of self-inflicted damage with the snowplow.
Okay, having been back there, the right thing for them to do is to probably put a silt sock along that fence line, a wattle along that fence line, because that area over there did drop off pretty steeply into the wetland.
I'm having a hard time picturing.
So remember, this is the behind. What was the name of the farming company? You remember it? I promise you remember it. Take a left on Bishop. There's the glass company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the building that's always wide open, says Tolko on the front. And there was a fence here, and we went in the back, and they they spun down and they mixed in, they homogenized the material.
Yeah.
It's that
There.
right there. So A, it's fenced, but B, on the back side of it, remember how we wanted to make sure it really dropped right off into that
Yeah.
wetland. It was pretty steep.
Okay.
So they want
So-
to do this work in late September.
Yeah, they bet they do. Actually, they should know that that's the worst time. Unbelievably, the best time to get grass to seed is to prepare your soils at the end of August. Seed and water. And that gives you time to get that first batch to grow in and then to even overseed after again.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Every year it's proven to me that I should have seeded in August.
So they're.
I will fail to do it again this year.
You know, they brought this to my attention. They say this feels like maintenance to us. We don't think we need to come in and talk to you guys, but please let us know if you feel the same way.
So if they just ran a silt sock around the outside on the fence between them and the wetland, and you took a look at it, I'd be fine with it.
Cool.
But I think, I don't know if you remember how much it dropped off. It dropped off pretty steeply into the wetland back there.
Mm-hmm.
So if they started to get some erosion, they'd have all the erosion.
Can I ask what's underneath?
No. So it is 12 past, because none of us can describe it.
We don't know.
It's a mixture of fertilizer products and whatever the material was that they used to consolidate it so it wouldn't go anywhere afterwards. That building is where they used to take in raw materials off the railroad tracks, mix fertilizers, and sell them to farmers. And you know what they did with the leftovers? They dumped it out back. So the company that bought the company, and I just can't remember the name of the company, it's driving me crazy. The company that bought the company that owned the land had to then go back and do it, and a nice man was here from Michigan or wherever the hell he was from, and he had to come here because he was doing this cleanup all over the country using this same prescribed method that the EPA said was
He was
okay
from Michigan.
to leave stuff in place.
Yeah, camping and
Funniest things I remember. And no, not even capped.
no.
Just merely entrained with the material that they mixed in, so that it wouldn't disseminate.
disintegrate and disseminate. Do they test? I mean, when after a hard rain, do they test in?
They had
Seepage?
I
wells.
think they get monitoring wells.
They had
They monitoring
monitoring
wells?
They
I think
did
they have to
testing.
get.
They have to do it. EPA.
I don't know if they're still doing it or not, but
Yeah, mandated.
they came through, they did the work with us, and then that nice man flew back and gave him a COC. Okay.
And I'm gonna give Bonnie the fiscals.
Oh yeah, I need that.
So this was the $15,000 Robert referred to,
Yes.
and the spending that came out of that pot for Flanagan's, so that that's the money that you couldn't find before, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah.
In 30 seconds or less, Jess, any items for the week?
Nope.
George? Takashi?
No.
Bonnie?
Nope.
Did we miss anything big, Brian?
Oh, I think
There was a
shut
comma
up.
there. Did we miss anything big, Brian?
Did we miss anything big?
Brian?
Miss-
Motion to adjourn?
Anything, comma, big Brian.
I'm like, how many semicolons?
There's a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.